Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see what if Naruto fell in love with Kushina and got Harem, and subscribe if you enjoy the video. And also check the description. So let's begin the story. A certain blonde shinobi starred in the distance. Life is good, he remarked, surprising his team members. Naruto, what are you talking about? Sakura asked, curious about his behavior. Even Sasuke stopped in his tracks, awaiting an answer from his teammate. Ugh, something crossed my mind. It's not important. Come on, we need to deliver our mission report. And with that Naruto followed his way to the Hokage Tower, leaving behind two puzzled teammates. After the delivery of the mission reports, they wished each other goodbye and departed to their respective homes. Naruto couldn't help but think about the wonderful life he's living. His birth ended almost in a total disaster for his family and himself. Nameki's Kushina, formerly Uzumaki, was the second Jinchuriki of the Hidden Leaf. Her seal, which denied the nine-tailed demon fox the freedom to destroy and murdering innocent people, weakened with every month of her pregnancy. In the end her seal failed, but his father, Nameki's Minato, the fourth Hokage, resealed the demon fox with the helping hands of his predecessor Saratobi Harrison and his sensei Jiraiya. With the power of 3 Kage level shinobi, they didn't have to rely on a self-sacrificing sealing jutsu. On this day Naruto was chosen to keep the menace at bay. He became the third Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed demon fox. His mother survived thanks to the godly healing skills of Sonate. Both Sandan took their duty as godfather respectively godmother very seriously. The day after his 12th birthday Naruto departed with his godparents for a 3-year training trip. His mother wailed like a small girl who has lost her favorite doll. She nearly choked them in a fierce hug. On this trip he learned the arts of Sanjutsu and medical jutsu. Jiraiya and Naruto debated about using the power of the demon fox, but in the end Naruto decided against it. In his free time Jiraiya introduced Naruto to the secret art of S. At the beginning, Naruto tried to fight against it, but he soon noticed that the blood flowed through him. In the end he accepted his natural talent. Naruto and Jiraiya spied on women in bathhouses and traveled through the different brothels. Naruto published his co-author various stories in Jiraiya Sakeka series. They even released a tour guide for Fire Country's brothels called Safursaks and Hinokuni, brothels for the exalted demand. After 3 years, Tsunade told Kushina tearfully, "I'm sorry, we lost her son to the dark side." Kushina was not amused. Jiraiya paid dearly for corrupting her baby. He finally arrived at his parents' home. Their house lies in a remote place of the Hidden Leaf village. In the backside, there's an amazing garden which could only grow so beautifully under his mother's constant cultivation. There's a small dojo too. His father had it built so they could use it to spar against each other. He entered through the front door and heard his mother's humming from the kitchen. "Hello mom," Naruto said as he walked into the kitchen. "Naruto, how are you? How was your mission?" Kushina asked with a serene smile as she turned to him. Naruto could only stare at his mother. She looked like an angel, no like the goddess in her dark red kimono decorated with black ornaments. Her hair was marvelous, unbelievably long, and reached to her rack. Every step she took her hair would sway with her. That's definitely an unparalleled sight. Naruto could see her firm heart shape through her dressing. Her plump C-cup bosom put some strain on the kimono. He was sure if the material would be a little thinner, he could see her ass. That's what you call a breathtaking smile, he thought. "Mom, you look gorgeous," he exclaimed. Kushina blushed, turning her face dark red. She could only avert her eyes to the ground while saying, "Why, thank you Naruto." It came instantly to his mind, Mom is totally weak against any form of praise. I will tease her so much. She looked so cute with her blushing face. He was so much in teasing mode as he sensed a Tune and courier outside of their house. Naruto met him at the front door and received a message from his father. He read it and handed the letter to his mother. His father would start an unscheduled inspection of the Hidden Leaves forward bases immediately. The letter states that it would take approximately 2 weeks. Naruto remembers some gossip between the donuts about irregularities in their forward bases. Kushina read the letter too and looked a little bit sad. She said, "Naruto, I will make dinner. Meanwhile you can take a shower and get some new clothes." In the end he could only comply. That was not the right moment to tease her further. Under the hot shower he could only keep his mother in mind. She is an absolutely gorgeous and stunning goddess. Every man in the Hidden Leaves stared at her when she was moving through the streets. The woman population idolized her as the perfect Role model and the younger generation adores her for her kindness and charity projects. Kushina couldn't continue her kunoichi career after the breaking of the seal. Her chakra is unstable. Sometimes there are no problems, but there are moments when she cannot use her chakra at all. She decided with Minato to end her kunoichi career. Instead she took care of social projects in the village. His mind wandered to his mother's back, especially to her awesome kimono. She looked so absolutely hot. He had seen his mother in her nightgown several times. His imagination projected her form in his mind. It's needless to say that he got an instant boner. "Naruto, dinner is ready," Kushina shouted from the kitchen. "I'm sorry, but I have to cool you down," said Naruto to his boner and switched from hot to cold water. The dinner was quite uneventful. After this Kushina washed the wishes. In the meantime Naruto made himself comfortable on the sofa and the living room with his notepad in his hands. He promised Uriah to give him some new ideas by the end of the week. Naruto was too absorbed in his work. He didn't sense how Kushina approached him from behind. "Naruto, what are you doing? You are writing that smut again. I will get very angry," stated. The furious Kushina, per Naruto was ambushed. He tried to save what was left and said, "Mom, that's not smut. It's art." Kushina snatched his notepad away from his hand. After an angry glance to his son, she started to read the text. Naruto watched intently how his mother's face turned beet red. He couldn't say if it was the anger or the embarrassment. "That's the case for the dustbin," Kushina exclaimed and started to march off to the kitchen. Naruto couldn't let his mother destroy his art. He jumped over the sofa and grabbed her arm. In the following fight they lost their balance and crashed to the ground. "Ouch," whimpered the dazed Kushina as she sat up. Naruto couldn't believe his eyes. His mother was straddling his hip. Instantly the pictures of his mother's filled his mind. He could feel his boner growing and pressing against her. "Ouch, Naruto," stated a shocked Kushina to an equally shocked Naruto. As she started to stand up, Naruto took the initiative and flipped her over, pinning her on the ground, holding her hands in his, spreading her legs with his. She didn't have a chance to escape that situation. Mainly it would be quite difficult for her to push away the 160 pounds of her son's body with her delicate frame of only 120 pounds. Naruto's instincts took over and he started to grind his raging boner against her. Only 3 layers of fabric shielding their sex from each other. "Naruto, do you have any reason? On your mother. We cannot do that," Kushina protested. Naruto stopped and Kushina thought she would be saved. "No reason? Mom, did you look in the mirror today? You look absolutely gorgeous in your outfit. Moreover, your blushing face is so cute. It is borderline criminal. You are virtually asking me to you," Naruto explained agitatedly. "That dress is not for you. It's for your father," Kushina answered. "His loss is my gain. Let's get started, Kushina-chan," Naruto whispered her essentially in the ear and started grinding against her crotch again. Kushina could feel an overwhelming lust rising in her lower regions. A familiar heat is building up in her. "Oh no. I'm getting wet. If he continues with this speed, I will come in no time. I must do something to stop this," Kushina thought, but her efforts are interrupted by an eager Naruto who is kissing her neck. You taste cherry. Oh, the left side of your neck is already full of hickeys. I will better move to the other side. Kushina-chan." Naruto chuckled and started on the right side. Don't call me that. I'm your mother," Kushina protested. Weakly, surprised by her weak remark and decreasing resistance. Naruto looked at her and saw a dreamy look on her face. He thought to himself, she wouldn't. Or would she? He tried to test his theory and intensified his grinding in force and speed. Additionally, he began to nibble on her right ear and started dirty talk. "Shina-chan, you feel so good. Don't talk about me. Kaya 3. It works. Now I have to impregnate her mind with the right pictures." Naruto grinned from ear to ear. "Akusha-chan, imagine how my big fat would ravage your tight slender body. The 3, how I would pound you like a beast till you lose your consciousness." It hit her like a blast. Her inner balls started to clench. She felt so hot. She couldn't stop it anymore. Kushina cried out in pleasure. "I'm me." Naruto looked in shock as he saw that beautiful woman crying out in pleasure. He had not thought that he could make her so easily. His thoughts were interrupted by a wet feeling in the area of his crotch. "I didn't. Holy shit. Mom is squirting like a fountain." Naruto saw it with his own unbelieving eyes. Kushina lost every control of her body. Her ejaculation sprayed against Naruto's crotch. His trousers were totally wet. He released his mother from his grip. Kushina was torn by her feelings. She experienced an absolutely wonderful orgasm. But the one who did make her was her own son and not her husband. She buried her face in her hands. Mom, you are a squirter. That's unbelievable. I didn't thought that I could make you so easily. Naruto said excitedly. He did hear the familiar sobbing sound of a crying person. Hey, please don't cry. Naruto soothed and hoisted her up so that she would straddle his lap. But now he could hug her and caress her spine. Kushina calmed down and looked at her son. He gave her a warm smile. When was the last time you squirted on such a fountain? Naruto asked. Naruto. I can't tell you that. It's bad enough that you had sex with your own mother. Kushina countered indignantly. Ah, we didn't have sex. You come all alone. That's pretty egoistic. You can answer my questions or you can help me. It's your decision. Naruto answered totally reasonably. Kushina's face was blank. She wouldn't like her sons. No, she couldn't. I will answer his ridiculous questions and end this horrible situation. Kushina thought. 10 years ago was the last time I squirted. Kushina told with downcast eyes. When did you have sex the last time? Naruto asked innocently. 10 years. Hey, stop. What are you asking? Kushina demanded, slightly enraged. Mom, you should consider the situation you are currently in. First of all, you're straddling my lap and sitting on my giant boner. Second, you squirted 2 minutes ago a fountain of your love juice over my crotch. And finally, you told me that you have been frickin' pure for the last 10 years. I will absolutely love you. You can tell me what you want. Your body wants me. You want me. And because I am the gentleman that I am, I cannot refuse the request of such vigor. Besides, I have to punish that naughty squirting for making my trousers wet. Naruto whispered in her ear. After this, he put his hands under her and picked her up. She could only put her arms behind his neck and straddle him further. Kushina was totally stunned. She didn't expect her son to say such dirty things. She knew he was thanks to various influence. But that dirty talk was directed at her. And it made her horny beyond belief. No opposition. That's good. Everyone knows only being what makes you happy. Naruto laughed. He walked to the second level of the house and stopped at the crossways between his parents' room and his room. Which room do you prefer? Naruto grinned at her. I'm sorry. But that was a rhetorical question. I am about to have sex with a real woman. Moreover, it's the goddess of the leaf. It's only appropriate when I give you a small home-field advantage. You will need it. It began to dawn on Kushina. She wouldn't be the same tomorrow. Naruto stopped at the foot of her bed. He gently put her down and inspected her closely. Her kimono was in disorder and it got a big wet stain from her squirting orgasm. I will have to relieve you from your kimono, Naruto said. Excitedly, he loosened her sash and opened Pandora's box. He lost his breath. Kushina wore the full program, a bra, panties, a garter belt and pantyhose. All in red. Kushina-chan, are you trying to seduce? Naruto asked accusingly. It was meant to be a special day. Kushina answered, fighting against the heavy blush on her face. It will be a special day, Kushi-chan. Naruto exclaimed happily and started to rub his nose against her wet undergarments. No, it's dirty. Kushina protested. Naruto breathed through his nose and countered, dizzy. That's the scent of a woman. And as of now, it's my woman's scent. You shall take responsibility for your lewd body. Naruto took a last breath and tried to memorize the scent of his goddess nectar. The panties were connected through straps and ended in a bow on each side. So he only had to pull on the straps to open her undergarments. He had a full view of her. Mom's is completely shaved. I can't wait to taste her. If she tastes only half as good as she smelled, it will be a feast. And her pretty pink color makes you want to bury your face in it. I've seen many variations of pussies and brothels, but that's unheard of. Naruto was absorbed in thought. With a seasoned gesture, he lifted her and grabbed her panties, only to store it in his trouser pocket. That's what you call spoils of war, Naruto chuckled. But now I have to relieve my big guy. Kushina glanced at Naruto as he stripped out of his clothes. His full erect member came to her view. He must be 8 inches tall. Kushina couldn't help herself but was mesmerized by the swollen tip and the bulging veins of her sons. Naruto grinned at his mother's dreamy look and announced. We will move to the main dish soon enough. But before that, I want to have a little snack for myself. He put her legs above his shoulder and guided his head in front of her crotch. Without warning, he latched his mouth on her and began to discover her inner walls with his tongue. Simultaneously, he started to collect every available fluid in her. Kushina was not in the slightest prepared for that vicious attack. A deep lustful escape from her Naruto increased his vigor after hearing the pleasure he was giving her. After long minutes of sinful and lewd slurping sounds, Naruto could feel how her inner walls were clamping down on his tongue. Kushina grabbed the blanket in a futile effort to regain the minimal amount of composure. As she cried out in pleasure. I'm coming. I'm coming. Lick me. My. The great quantities of female ejaculate almost surprised him, but he adapted like the cunning fox he was. He started to gulp down Kushina's love juice and he loved every drip of it. It had only one disadvantage. His horniness increased tenfold. He used every bit of self-control he could muster to stop himself from ravaging the beauty in front of him. Kushina, who didn't notice the problems of her son at the time of her life. She panted exhausted and couldn't help but smile and enjoy the aftermath of her fantastic orgasm. She was interrupted as Naruto stood up. His erect member was a mere inch away from her wet swollen. Kushina couldn't believe her eyes. Naruto started to twitch fiercely. Then she noticed the naughty grin he was wearing. Your love juicy is a first-class aphrodisiac. Naruto stated as he slapped his on her. Every time he slapped her with his she felt a spark moving through her body. Now we are moving to the main dish. I did Akamasa. Naruto exclaimed happily. And moved her in the missionary position and placed her legs on his shoulders. Naruto took the time to gaze at his mother. They were already beyond the relationship of mother and son. They were lovers. A shred of doubt started to wander through his mind. This was not unnoticed by Kushina. For the first time she took the initiative and put her hands behind his neck, pulling him down for a passionate kiss. You should end what you started, Namix Naruto. Kushina smiled at him. After all, your twitching is all too eager to taste my. He is slapping me the whole time. Naruto regained his former resolution and guided the head of his member to the entrance of her. After the tip of his head touches her folds, the spark runs through his body. Her folds are so hot and wet. I cannot describe this feeling. He started to push farther and farther. His ass head was already swallowed by her as folds. That tightness. It's like she is bringing me in. Inch by inch he pushed his hard and member in her wet and soft yet so tight love canal. His member was fully engulfed by her. He took a deep breath and started to pound her in a merciless fashion. His balls were slapping against her rack. Every deep thrust the tip of his bumped against her cervix. Kushina's eyes rolled as she let out a series of ludus. He's in my womb. What an incredible feeling. That's the first time I felt such pleasure. Now I'm a woman. Shinichi, you're squeezing me so hard. I will not make it any longer. Naruto said intensely, in my mouth. It's an unsafe day, Kushina said. Kushina did make a grave mistake. Naruto lost every reason after slurping down his lover's ejaculate. But now she brought in the possibility of pregnancy. His carnal instincts took over and his only goal was to impregnate the female below him. I will give you pregnant for Sura Shinichi. Naruto announced self-confidently. Kushina was shocked. All the time with Minato. She wished for a second child. But they got no luck. After the birth of their firstborn, their sexual activities ceased to a minimum. 7 years after Naruto's birth, they stopped having sex with each other. No, we absolutely cannot do that. There are boundaries we must not cross. Kushina stated weakly. Kushina mustered the last bit of her concentration and empowered her womb. But chakra. That was not unnoticed by Naruto, who considered countermeasures for her foolish behavior. He started to wiggle with his soul that it would slap her inner walls. You're unreasonable. Sura Shinichi. Your womb is already panting greedily at me, awaiting my seed. Your womb wants to be impregnated. You shouldn't lie to yourself, Naruto said heavily. Indicating that he reached his limit. With a final thrust, he pushed him as deep as ever before. His head bumped against Kushina's cervix, initiating her orgasm. Abruptly, her walls clamped down on his, trying vigorously to milk his seed. Her cervix opened her mouth after his final thrust, inviting the imminent squirt of, my womb is betraying me. I cannot believe that. Are you really so eager to become pregnant? Kushina asked herself. For the third time on this day, Kushina squirted a fountain of female ejaculate against her male partner. As if it was an independent organism, she targeted Naruto's weakest point to maximize the effects of her squirting orgasm. A gushing fountain splattered against his balls, bringing heavenly pleasure to the blonde shinobi who experienced the beginning of an unparalleled orgasm. The wet stimulation brought by Kushina's gushing fountain doubled his available amount of. She was doomed. Naruto had serious problems catching his breath. He could feel his burning balls, preparing vast amounts of seed for only one mission. To impregnate the female's womb, and as if that were not enough, his mother squirted against his balls. At least that cooled them down somewhat. He could feel his seeds flow through the base of his shaft, accelerating at a lightning speed. The contractions of Kushina's inner wall intensified his orgasm. Even if I hadn't wanted to in her, I wouldn't have had the chance to escape her vice grip on. My. On the one hand she is telling me not to in her, and on the other hand she is milking me like a cow. Finally the steady flow reached the head of his, and a last violent twitch announced the imminent shot of a thick white blob of seed sprayed against her cervix, missing its mouth by a mere quarter-inch. The second shot was clumsy, thus hitting her cervix on the outer edge. It was the third shot which defeated her unstable defense in a single strike. The third thick blob. It flowed directly through her cervix mouth, entering her womb unhindered. It exploded like a display of fireworks, thus bringing Kushina's orgasm to a new level. Her eyes rolled back. She did only feel the warm sensation after ropes by thick ropes were entering her womb. She didn't have the power to cry out in pleasure anymore. Her body's only way to express the satisfaction was the spasm of her hips. Deep sex is the best. Oh, that is trying to impregnate me. On. I love how he splatters against the back of my womb. And now it's starting to slosh around. Kushina drifted slowly into unconsciousness. The content smile was seen on her face. Naruto smiled at the sight of his woman. She looked so peaceful and content. He put her legs from his shoulders and rolled both of them over. Kushina was lying on top of him. He was still sticking to her, exhausted. Occasionally his would splurge. The blob of against her now sealed shut cervix. Naruto pulled the blanket over them and started to fall into a deep sleep. What's that nice feeling? My womb feels so loaded and pleased. I cannot describe it. Where am I? What happened yesterday? My head is pure white. I cannot remember. But I'm feeling so good. If it is a dream, I wish it would never end. Kushina's thoughts were interrupted as she felt a weird stinging sensation on her. Instantly she opened her eyes. She lay on her son and his morning wood stab against the entrance of her. Naruto gave her a genuine smile and greeted her. Did you sleep well? You know what you are purring in your sleep. That's so cute. Needless to say, Kushina was stunned. The memories of her sinful act of the night before flooded her mind. She remembered how he fed her by passing her traitorous cervix and thus staining her womb completely white. She shuddered as she thought of the frivolous feeling of hot and thick splattering against the back of her womb. Naruto observed her thoroughly. She had the same dreamy face as he had given her unbearable pleasure yesterday. He decided to exploit her state of weakness and started to invade her mind with his own thoughts. Are you ready for round 2, Shinichang? I am very eager to eat up yours. Although it was you which has devoured me. I can feel your twitching. For my head. It's so cute. It's like they are madly in love, Naruto said. Kushina tried to muster all of her remaining power to escape. Her knees were too weak to withstand her weight. Her futile effort brought her in a straddling position. She sat directly on Naruto's, which was twitching madly in anticipation. His erect member buried himself in her soft folds. She could feel his bulging veins through her folds. Suddenly she felt very horny. It was only a matter of seconds till her juice would be flowing in vast amounts. A hot syrupy liquid started to blanket him. Her juice worked like lubrication, reducing the friction between the tip of his touched her clit. Kushina cried out in pleasure as he massaged her sensitive organ. Naruto couldn't help but stare at his lover's ass. They were still trapped in her brow. Yesterday he only took care of her. With a grunting voice he straightened up and unhooked her brow with a fluid movement. Finally free of their oppression, she swayed directly in front of his eyes. That's the S of a goddess. Her real S got such a pretty pink color and her S are literally pleading with me to put them on. Naruto was instantly mesmerized by her beauty and plumpness. He put one of his hands under her bride and tried to evaluate the weight. They are heavy and soft. My hand is sinking in. Naruto exclaimed excitedly. He brushed with his thumb over her, causing her to cry out in pleasure. With a final glance at his lover's eyes he latched his mouth on her right. Kushina heard the naughty slurping sound her son was producing. She could feel the suction on her right. His tongue swirled around her. She was in heaven. He started to vibrate against her, intensifying her lust. She could feel the cool air on her ravaged as her son started to work on her left one. She was erected and blanketed with her son's saliva. She would soon start to fall in the same abyss as the night before. He increased his vigor and the suction pressure started to grow up. Ah. Stop, ing. Are you trying to milk me? Kushina asked between her as Naruto got a flash of insight, but he would postpone it for the moment. Her thoughts were interrupted by a spontaneous Naruto who lifted her off the bed and dragged her in front of a mirror cabinet. She was shocked. Naruto admired the beauty in front of him. He could see her image in the mirror. He had ravaged both of her tasty Both S were swollen and covered in his saliva. She was still wearing her red pantyhose and garter belt. Her sexy underwear amplified his thoughts. Kushina on the other hand tried to fight off the imminent orgasm. While Naruto was dragging her to the mirror, she and her womb developed a life of its own. It started to slosh around, making her head dizzy. Naruto was slightly unhappy about the hidden view of his lover's rear. Her long red mane concealed her voluptuous ass. He took hold of her mane and threw them about his right shoulder. After a quick glance at her firm rear, he nodded satisfied and gave her a light slap on her right cheek. He positioned himself behind his lover. He was 5 feet and 11 inches tall. Kushina was slightly smaller with 5 feet and 3 inches. Her delicate frame harmonized with his athletic body. Kushina could feel his pronounced abdomen against her back. His loin was directly pressing against her cheeks. He took his familiar position and buried himself in her outer folds. They looked like a perfect unit. Her red hair was flowing behind his back. She was embarrassed by the sight of herself in the mirror but couldn't stop feeling proud about her body. She looked sexy as hell in her pantyhose and garter belt. She wouldn't have imagined to be taken in such a naughty position. Naruto started to fondle her ass. "I like it," Naruto told her happily. She agreed without opposition. Looking down, she could see his twitching against her. An unbearable knot of suppressed lust started to grow in her crotch. But all he did was fumbling her on her left neck. Naruto could see the discomfort his lover suffered. He decided to tease her further. With his index fingers, he rolled each of her ass, sending an electric pulse of pleasure through her body. "If you want my fat, hot and twitching in you, you should put it in yourself. Do it and I will you till your mind fades." Naruto was spurred naughtily in her left ear. Kushina couldn't believe herself. Her body was moving on its own. Her left hand moved to his twitching and started to pump it. She could feel her own slimy and sticky juice on her hands. It was in a concentrated form, which would explain its gooey nature. Kushina saw in the mirror how her hand moved him to the entrance of her. His ass had parted her folds. And in a split second her hunger it is in, devouring it completely. Naruto heard his lover sing. He was happy because this time Kushina took an active part in their sexual encounter. "Normally I feel like it would explode every second from the blood pressure, but now I feel like it's melting in her. I never experienced this before. That's among pussies." Naruto started to thrust his shaft in and out of her love canal. He had serious problems maintaining a steady thrust. Her inner walls were greedily holding him inside when he started to thrust backwards. Naruto moved his right hand from her right to her thigh. Without warning he lifted her right leg to intensify his thrusting, thus bringing her faster to an orgasm. Kushina was unprepared as he lifted her leg. She tried to counter it and started to stand on tippy toes with her leg feet. But his merciless and powerful thrust disarmed her completely. She lost her balance, but Naruto moved his left hand to her belly in order to stabilize her. She could hear her ass smacking sounds as he ravaged her. A ring of foam started to build at the end of his shaft. Her gooey syrup was flowing down his shaft. A thick blob of clear liquid started to grow on the bottom side of his balls. Her juice has some special qualities. First, it was a powerful aphrodisiac when drunk. Second, it was surely the best available lubrication. And finally, it has the characteristics of syrup. By now she could see several threads of thick and syrupy juice hanging down from his balls. Occasionally they would fall on the ground, staining the carpet. Her ass were moving up and falling down with every thrust. The blanket of saliva was already dried up by the air. She wouldn't admit it, but she loved every second of her lover's tender care of her bosom. She couldn't resist anymore. She turned her head to him and used her right hand to turn his head to him. They could see each other's eyes. She locked his lips with hers, kissing him French style. Naruto was stunned by her display of affection. His tongue invaded her mouth. Fighting for supremacy. She was defeated in a matter of seconds. She was so innocent, he would have to train her thoroughly in order to experience advanced sexual intercourse. After 20 seconds of French kissing, both lovers needed to catch breath. He could see her eyes rolling back. She was close to an orgasm. He was ready to shoot every second. The milking contractions of her inner walls would start his shower. He'd put all vigor in the next rest. His ass had kissed her cervix and thus started an unstoppable process. Kushina's mind went blank. Her inner walls started their contractions and tried to milk his precious seed. She could feel the outline of his. Thanks to her inner wall she could memorize every bulgy vein. She clamped on his tool for her dear life. Not a single drop should be wasted. Occasionally she could hear a smacking sound from her. It's really trying to devour him. Kushina observed. She heard his grunting voice, signaling the imminent spray of thick and hot. He will stain my womb in white. After this I will be pregnant for sure. I cannot help but feel excited. Naruto has got his hands full. His right hand was lifting up her leg. With his left hand he was stabilizing her by holding her belly. He could feel his balls preparing an incredibly large amount of. He looked at his lover's face and smiled. There were many indicators of a blissful state. He seized the opportunity and latched his mouth on hers, engaging her in a second French kissing battle. Her womb was full from her last intercourse. The night before, her cervix would open his mouth at the last second to avoid wasting his precious seed. The communication between him and her was unheard of. They flowed with breathtaking speed. From his balls through his shaft till the head of his. A violent twitch announced the imminent shower. In a split second Kushina's cervix opened its mouth. The tip of his was docked into her cervix's opening. The old was hindered from escaping. Naruto edged heavily in Kushina's mouth. As the first thick blob squirted from his. It flew directly in her filled womb, thus putting a heavy strain on her sex organ. Kushina's eyes blinked open at the new experience in her belly. His was squirting violently ropes by ropes of thick and sticky in her loaded womb. Instantaneously her hips began to spasm. The invading seed cut mercilessly through the existing one, causing the entirety of it to slosh around. Her womb expanded as if by a miracle. As elastic blob sprayed in her womb, her cervix noticed the ending orgasm and closed its mouth. At the right time. This final sensation tore down her gates, starting a forceful female ejaculation. She cried out in pleasure. As a gushy fountain of squirting juices hit the mirror. Both lovers were fighting to catch their breaths. Kushina would have fallen down if Naruto hadn't used all his remaining power to hold his lover. Naruto was stunned. He stared on the mirror blanketed. But the love juice of the female in his arms. Naruto pulled his member from her and shuddered. At the feeling of cold air on his. Kushina felt sad at the feeling of emptiness in her. But a strong slosh in her womb made her happy again. He was surprised by the lack of dripping out of her. Her womb consumed greedily every drip of his seed. Bit by bit Naruto regained his senses. He smelled a sour odor in the air. This room reeked of wild and untamed intercourse. That's the way it's supposed to be, Naruto thought happily. He hugged his red-haired goddess from behind and placed his hands on her belly. As her senses returned to her, she widened her eyes. In horror. Her son embraced her from behind, tenderly rubbing her belly in soothing circles. Both of them were the day they were born. A massive wave of guilt washed over her. Not even 2 days ago she was living a normal and satisfying life. She was a wife and a mother. What was she now? Many questions rose up in her mind. She betrayed her husband with her own son. She even had sexual intercourse with him, and to make it worse, she enjoyed it greatly. What will happen from now on? She couldn't tell anybody a single word about this. She had to lie to her husband. She had to lie to everyone. The truth would surely threaten her. Family. A family she almost lost 17 years ago. She remembered an old discussion concerning her special conditions as former hosts of the Demon Fox. Flashback, she glanced at her husband and smiled. They discussed the matter over the last weeks. He could relieve her from her sorrow so easily. They invited the former Hokage and his wife to their house. They sat down at the table in pairs, giving Minato and Kushina the perfect chance to declare the cause for this occasion. We want to have a baby, Minato announced happily. Sarutobi squeezed his eyes. He wouldn't want to deny the young couple their right to start a family. But he could imagine his wife's reaction. Buwako gave Kushina a strict look and spoke like a mother berating her child. You're the Kubijin Shiriki. Pregnancy will weaken the seal dramatically. When your predecessor, Mito-sama, gave birth, it is said the seal nearly broke. You will not only endanger yourself, but everyone in this village. Kushina expected to be reprimanded by the former Hokage's wife. Yet it made her feel like a bad person to give in to her desire to have children. Minato sensed the growing uneasiness in his wife and put his hand on her shoulder. Kushina is a strong kunoichi. Never before was an Uzumaki born, gifted with a chakra as special as hers. She deterred the 9 tails without flaw until now. I will put my trust in her. Minato spoke confidently. Kushina stared at the pair in front of them and vowed with infectious resolution. I will hold the 9 tails at bay. Not for myself, but for my unborn child. I will not give it the opportunity to destroy my family. Sarutobi glanced at his wife and could see her speechless expression. Few could silence his wife. He put on his grandfatherly smile and congratulated the couple in front of him. You have my blessings, but if I remember correctly, you both have to do something to have a baby. Kushina blushed at the obvious fact. Minato put his hand behind his head. Laughing weakly. Iwako however rolled her eyes and muttered something about that old geyser and his pupil's influence. Meanwhile, 600 miles away, Jiraiya sneezed while conducting his research. What lovely lady is thinking of the great Jiraiya? It's not easy to be popular with the women folk, but I will bear with it. Jiraiya thought and laughed like a man. Flashback ends. Kushina freed herself from her son's embrace and spoke with determination. You know what happened on the day of your birth? The odds were against us. As by a miracle our whole family survived this day. I'm living for our family. It's my happiness. I won't let it be destroyed by anyone. Naruto blinked at the person in front of him. That was not the woman he had sex with in the last 2 days. That was his mother, a person who defended his family against any sort of threat. Vicious like a mother bear protecting her cub. It surprised him that he was seen as a threat by her. Didn't you enjoy the last 2 days? I could see your aroused face. You were happy. Naruto accused her angrily, pushing her against the wall. Whether I enjoyed it or not doesn't matter. I'm your cousin and somebody else's wife. Kushina exclaimed slightly agitated. She couldn't believe she was having this conversation with her son. Somebody else. Not very convincing, Naruto stated dryly. His eyes feasting on her body. He touched her thighs. Sensually. I'm your cousin, Kushina stuttered, trying her best to resist his touches. You already said that, Naruto remarked. His right hand moved up to play with a strand of her silky hair. He put the particular strand under his nose, inhaling her sweet scent. I won't discuss it with you. Because there is nothing to be discussed. That never happened. Do you understand me? Kushina asked him. As she was on the verge of defeat, she used her remaining power to push him away. No, I don't understand it. As you have stated, the last time you had good sex was 10 years ago. You should be thankful. Naruto responded, knowing that he said something very wrong. Aha. I should be thankful that you sacrificed yourself to have sex with a woman who wasn't touched in 10 years. Kushina shot back visibly annoyed. I didn't mean it that way. You have to understand, Naruto tried to explain, just to be interrupted by Kushina. You should leave now. That never happened. Hopefully I'm not pregnant. Kushina said. Nonchalantly, shaking her head. Naruto looked at her, desperately searching for an uncertainty. In the end he began to leave the room. His hand was about to reach the doorknob as he turned around. Facing her again. He spoke with an unfamiliar honesty and warmth in his voice. I did enjoy the last 24 hours greatly. Even if I have to deny them, I will never forget. And I didn't sacrifice myself. As a matter of fact, I was so excited and happy that you were untouched. No, I would call it maidenlike. Kushina was stunned. The situation was awkward. After all. She was except her pantyhose and garter belt, not even closely covering her private parts. And now Naruto confessed these things. Honestly, I tried to imagine that you were my wife rather than my cousin. It was nice while it lasted. Naruto confessed warmly. He left the room. Leaving behind a puzzled Kushina who was lost for words for a long time. Back in his own room. Naruto sat on his bed, fighting against frustrating emotions. As he was about to take a shower. He sensed 2 familiar chakras approaching his home. He cursed and rushed to put on his clothes. He sprinted down the stairs and opened the main door of their house. Naruto, you are looking so messed up. Did you get in a fight with your cousin? Sakura asked worriedly, sneaking a glance into her friend's home. Naruto's eyes widened as his teammate mentioned his mother. He lied, I trained in the backyard. I was about to take a shower. As I sensed your chakra. Now what's going on? We were assigned to a mission. We will back up one of our teams at the northern border. They should have cleared a camp of marauding bandits. Apparently the bandits hired some missing needs as protection. Sasuke stated impassively, that would be a piece of cake. Let us go, Naruto exclaimed, and thus 3 promising shinobi took off to complete their assignment. Kushina relaxed as their chakras disappeared from her sensor. She looked at the smeared mirror. And sighed, knowing she was the one who had to clean the mess up. She decided to take a shower. After 2 demanding and exhausting successions her body was all sticky. She took off the remnants of her sexy underwear. And entered the bathroom. Normally she would knot her hair into a bun. Because it would take hours to dry her hair. Now she wanted to destroy every evidence of the last 24 hours. She stepped into the shower and opened the water tap. 1 water started to refresh her body. After 2 relaxing minutes of sweet idleness she turned off the tap. After which she grabbed her favorite shampoo and put some of the lotion in her right hand. Then she rubbed it between her hands till all of the lotion converted into fluffy foam. It would take a long time to massage the lotion in her magnificent long hair, but she hadn't much to do anyway. Wondrously her mind Wandered back to Naruto's confession. She would like to deny it, but it made her quite happy to be the target of his covetousness. She shook her head furiously, trying to banish these unnatural thoughts. Enjoyed the last 24 hours greatly. A small blush started to build up in her face. Naruto's words were implanted too deep inside her mind. I would call it maidenlike. Her blush intensified as she touched her private parts, sending a spark through her body. Maiden. Don't say stupid things, Baka Tabane. Kushina exclaimed loudly. I really said it. Kushina said, slightly flustered. Curiously, she lost the strength in her knees, causing her to stumble against the shower's wall. In her early years she was known as a person who spoke without thinking. She tended to add the phrase Tabane at the end of her sentences. A definite indicator for excitement. However, she had to calm down after marrying Minato. Because a Hokage's wife should be a role model for every female in the village. It shocked her that Naruto's words were able to generate such emotions. She squeezed her eyes and took a deep breath, trying to wipe these immoral thoughts once and for all. Don't talk about me. Kaya female voice purred in her ear. Kushina snapped open her eyes. She was in a dark place. The underground had a red velvet carpet. She had to be in someone's house. Where was the ominous voice? Deep sex is the best. The voice exclaimed happily. Who are you? Kushina asked nervously, disbelieving that someone would cry out such indecent words. On. I love how he splatters against the back of my womb. The voice ended. Simply. Those are my thoughts. Who are you? Kushina thought to herself. Frantically searching for the source of voice. Who am I? I'm you. The voice stated proudly. Before stepping forward, Kushina's eyes widened. In front of her was a doppelganger of herself. She wore the same sexy underwear as Kushina did when Naruto conquered her for the first time. The other Kushina moved sensually, swaying her hips from one side to the other. Such lewd underwear. The other Kushina started joyfully, playing with the straps of her brow. I ask you who you are. The original Kushina stated angrily, pointing at her with her index finger. Can't you tell? I'm a mirror of your own. You may call me your subconsciousness, or you may call me by your side, the other one giggled as she snapped her finger. A chair appeared in front of them. A chair? Kushina asked, surprised. The other one grinned and snapped a second time. Naruto appeared on the chair, bound, blindfolded, and what are you doing? Kushina asked vividly. It dawned on her what would happen next. The other one circled Naruto like a predator with its prey, completely ignoring the raging original. The copy's eyes flashed up as she bounced on the vulnerable Naruto, straddling his lap. A groan escaped his mouth as the other one ground her hips against his crotch. She grabbed his face and kissed him on the lips. The original started to freak out, shouting curses and orders to stop the act. The other one turned her head, grinning like a she-devil, while she stood up, rubbing her sex against Naruto's erected member as she was about to pull her panties aside, the only layer of fabric separating their genitals. The original screamed. Stop it. The next moment she sat on the shower's hard ground. Kushina whined as she stood up, rubbing her sore butt to soothe her pain. Dead subconsciousness. Screw yourself. Their mission turned out to be a massive letdown. As they were about to engage their enemies, the missing needs decided to go missing again. They abandoned their clients, making it easy for 2 squads of skilled shinobi to defeat the remaining bandits without sweat. 2 hours later, it was already evening. They entered the village of Konoha. Naruto, are you sick? Sakura asked. Naruto nearly stumbled as he was absorbed in thought. I'm fine, Sakura. Naruto flashed her a reassuring smile. Sasuke narrowed his eyes on the blonde's back but decided to shut his mouth. After 10 uneventful minutes, they arrived at the public heart of the Hokage Tower. It was not really a tower, however the Hokage was working there, so it should get a great name. They entered the mission agency, which was the central station where clients could hire shinobi for their needs. Normally shinobi would report the missions result to their Hokage. But that was a special case because Naruto's team finished a public mission. The client was a small village which was raided by bandits. Now they could sleep in peace. After receiving hearty thanks for their successful operation by 2 happy villagers, Naruto bid farewell to his teammates. He was lost in thoughts. He couldn't understand the events of this morning. In 1 second, he had happy fulfilling sex with his mother, and in the other second they argued heatedly. He shook his head, sighing as he strolled through the streets of Konoha. He didn't feel like returning home soon. As he stuck his hand into the trousers pockets, he felt something weird. His hand played with the unknown object, trying to decipher its structure. With one fluid hand movement, he pulled out the object. Hand tie. A woman screeched. As she shielded the eyes of her daughter, the crowd stopped abruptly, looking for the reason for this outburst. Naruto's eyes widened as he held a sexy red panty in his hands. Shit, that's mom's panty. This moment somebody tapped him on the shoulder. Before giving his loud approval, that's my favorite pupil. Always collect your spoils of war. Naruto sighed as he swiftly stashed the underwear. Hey, that's not the way you should greet your sensei. Jiraiya cried with fake tears in his eyes. Naruto rolled with his eyes. Hey, arrow scenting. Since when were you back in town? I arrived at noon, but tell me. Who is the girl that this sexy panty belongs to? Jiraiya asked with a naughty grin, as if I can tell you that. Now invent a believable lie. I did see them for the first time. No, that won't work. It's a girl I met outside the village, Naruto said in his white lie. I'm proud of you. In any event, I wanted to visit you. I haven't seen your Achisan in ages. Jiraiya exclaimed, dragging behind an unhappy Naruto. That's my plan to keep out of her way today. They arrived at home 10 minutes later. Kushina was slightly surprised to see her husband's mentor. He was the root of all evil. He corrupted her dear baby with his minced. Nevertheless, she invited him to dinner and offered he gladly accepted. While they sat at the dining table, Kushina talked with him about old times, resurrecting legendary tales about Jiraiya's mishaps. Naruto was amazed. Apparently his godfather tried to peek on his mother. He suffered terrible consequences. Neither Naruto nor Kushina tried to interact with each other, leaving Jiraiya in an awkward situation. He decided to warm up the atmosphere. Kushina, don't be so gloomy. After all, we have something to celebrate. Jiraiya exclaimed, throwing his hands in the air. A stranger would mistake him for an animator. Do we? Naruto and Kushina asked dumbfounded. Surprised by each other's question, they turned their heads, avoiding eye contact. We have. Your son is following his master's path. I have failed Minato, but Naruto is a splendid pupil. So eager to execute his knowledge. Jiraiya boasted. Kushina gave Naruto an accusing look. He tried to save his hide, giving her a denying hand movement. Come on, you can tell your mother of your last conquest. Jiraiya laughed wholeheartedly as he scribbled his last perverse thought in his notebook. Conquest? Oh Naruto, did you have fun on your mission? Kushina asked. A serene smile gracing her face. Naruto knew he was in deep shit. That stupid old man beside him gave his mother a false color. It's not what you think, Naruto announced nervously. How could he explain that the reason for this situation was her panty without mentioning that delicate fact? Oh. Then tell me what you think I'm thinking, Naruto. Kushina purred sweetly. Propping her chin on the palm of one of her hands, Jiraiya sensed that he triggered an avalanche. He did feel bad for his pupil, but he wasn't dumb enough to engage Kushina in her current mood. Whoa, look at the time. I really should be going. I don't want to bother you further. Kushina, thanks for dinner. Naruto, hang in there. Jiraiya said before using a simple Shanshin no jutsu and thus escaping the impending doom. Naruto was shocked at his sensei's betrayal. He could feel his mother's glare on his skin, making him visibly uneasy. Tell me about your little one. What was she like? She must have been very eager to spread her legs for you. Kushina ran. Agitated. She couldn't help but feel hurt after the announcement of his conquest. Naruto was taken aback. His mother was furious and jealous. Maybe it was the first or maybe it was the second. It could be a combination of the two. He decided to play a dangerous game by annoying her beyond reason. Don't call her a I really like that girl and the sex with her is unbelievable. I really love how she is playing innocent but her body is somewhat lewd and sex-starred. And her S on the first sight they affirm like huge S. But if you touch them, your fingers will sink in. Naruto rhapsodies, gesturing with his hands groping in imaginary. Kushina couldn't believe her ears. Did she mean so little to him? But he told her that he wouldn't never forget their sexual intercourse. Were his sweet words nothing but lies? Tears threatened to escape her eyes. She tried to retain her composure. She wouldn't want to cry in front of him. Naruto could see his mother's inner battle, her frustration, her doubts. At once she was as silent as someone could be. He didn't want to hurt her feelings anymore, as seeing his mother sad made him sad too. He stood up, circling the table and stopping behind her. He embraced her from behind, placing his chin on her shoulder so that they were cheek by cheek. Please don't cry, Naruto pleaded, rubbing his cheek against hers. Why would I cry? I should be glad that my son found a girl he likes. If she makes you happy too, then I won't hinder your relationship. Kushina stated as reasonably as she could do. It pained her that she was merely an object of lust. She fought with every fiber of her body to dislike the warm and pleasant feeling of his cheek against her own. You really mean it? I've even got a present from her, Naruto announced happily. Kushina was curious. As he searched his trousers' right pocket with his hand, he fetched a red panty from his pocket, proudly presenting it in front of his mother. Kushina sat there saucer-eyed, feeling the broadening of his grin through their cheek-to-cheek connection. That's my panty. Kushina exclaimed, appalled, as she tried to reach out for her underwear. It was an effortless attempt. As Naruto anticipated a reaction, saving his treasure on time. Abruptly, the situation made sense to her. The girl Naruto was talking about was herself. A huge blush started to heat up her face. She buried her face in her hands in order to hide her embarrassment. No, it's not. I seized them honestly and fair. Naruto responded to her outrageous demand. Relishing in her cute behavior, he broke his embrace and stood up before he placed a loving kiss on top of her head. He smelled the flavorsome odor of her hair. It was quite obvious that she had to shower after their intercourse this morning. He closed his eyes and breathed through his nose, savoring every tiny bit of her fragrance. If her ass juice could make him horny beyond belief, then her hair's aroma could make him feel at peace. They stayed in this position for a couple of minutes before Naruto could break away her hair's allurement. I love you, Naruto whispered. Intoxicatedly, he wished her a good night and turned around as he tottered to his bedroom. Kushina on the other hand sat still at the table an hour or so longer, while she tried to digest what had just happened. Time skipped 2 days. A small sun ray fell on his face, making him stir. In his sleep, he squinted his eyes as he tried to regain his orientation. The previous day he trained with Jiraiya because his mother had to prepare the annual Konoha's Orphan Festival, which was combined with Mother's Day. She'd left the house early so he hadn't had the chance to speak with her since the evening that he had illuminated the misunderstanding Jiraiya caused. After their all-day-long training session, they spent the night at a local sake bar, discussing the newest trends in the world of ism. Fortunately, he didn't have a headache. In his mind, he sorted his personal to-do list, deciding to take a shower would be a good start to the day. Afterward he looked for his mother, but apparently she left this morning early too. He rummaged through their kitchen cabinet, but he found only staple ingredients. His mother was a splendid cook, and true to the maxim too many cooks spoiled the broth either Naruto or his father tried to obtain a developed culinary skill. In other words, both would die of hunger without Kushina around. Naruto sighed and closed the closets. In his theoretical to-do list he wrote beside looking for food the outcome of his efforts. Mission failed. The next thing to do was to pick up a bouquet of flowers he ordered last week at the Yamanaka's flower shop. Ino, one of his former buddies at Konoha's Shinobi Academy, helped him to choose the right composition of flowers. There are so many kinds of flowers. On several occasions, she tried to explain to him the wonder of ikebana, which literally means living flowers. He wasn't able to grasp the art of flower arrangement. He told her that it is probably a Kanoji thing, earning him a glare from the zealous female. He couldn't help but smile. A loyal friendship connected him with many heirs of noble and well-known shinobi clans. Ino was one of them. He was having a nice dream. A dream. After they escorted her back to her birth country, he was having these dreams on a monthly basis. The image of the beautiful and delicate actress Kazuhana Kuki invaded his mind, tormenting him with scenarios like those written in one of the famous Akaka novels. Maybe his reading of these novels was the cause for this situation, but for him, it didn't really matter. Kuki Haim was showing him her wonderful assets. Kushijin-sama, master. Don't eat my ass. Kuki screamed giddily, constraining him with her legs, while she pushed him deeper in her heavenly valley of femininity. He devoured her like a savage. Slurping sounds could be heard as he generated a vacuum on her reala. His tongue teasing her erected "I will make you mine now," he exclaimed boastfully, positioning his member at the entrance of her crotch. He was about to lose his purity, even when it's only his imagination. He felt excited as he visualized that his hunger would ravage this goddess beneath him, causing her to squirm in pleasure. He started to push his and her soft caressing folds as, "Oh my, Sasu-chan, are you having a naughty dream?" Uchiha Mikoto asked as she bent forward in front of him so that they saw face to face. Sasuke's eyes widened in horror. He immediately rolled away from her, unsure whether to be peeved or not at her for interrupting his imaginary first time. Take a shower. I will prepare breakfast. I will help Kushina at the festival, and I decided that you will help me. Mikoto said in between her giggles. Her Sasuke-chan was so cute in his flustered condition. What? I don't want to. It's boring and there are so many annoying girls. Sasuke protested. You don't have to go. But it could happen that your father and brother will find out about Sasuke-chan having naughty dreams. Mikoto started with a serene smile. She loved to tease her Sasuke-chan. As Sasuke's head hung in defeat, she knew about her victory. She left his room, accompanied by a hearty chuckle. Things can only get better. Mikoto thought happily. Things can only get worse. Sasuke thought depressed as he prepared for the worst. Kushina had her hands full. She coordinated the many volunteers but were interrupted sometimes by snobby wives of rich merchants who wanted to exploit the festival to improve their standing with the Hokage's family. In contrast, the wives of the major clan heads were really uncomplicated. After all, they knew the reason for their festival. The life of shinobi was harsh. You could die on every mission. Sometimes families were unfortunate to lose both parents, making their offspring orphans. She established this festival after Naruto's birth, as he had almost lost his parents too. The image of her child growing up in an orphanage made her sad. She shook her head, trying to banish the depressing thoughts. After all, she had to work. Kushina-chan. Mikoto squealed as she hugged her oblivious friend. Mikoto-chan. Kushina shouted, returning her hug. Out of harm's way, Sasuke observed the perverse scene of two adult women squealing and hugging each other like they were small girls. Sasuke, a familiar voice shouted behind him. He turned around to see Naruto coming along his way. You decided to help your Okasan. How unexpected, Naruto stated, surprised as his thoughts wandered back to his lovely cookie Harem. A dreamy smile appeared on his face. Sasuke, are you alright? Naruto asked, worried. He hadn't ever seen this stoic Uchiha making such facial expressions. Sasuke was thrown back into reality, trying his best to put on the trademark of the Uchiha clan. An impassive expression. Sasuke-chan. Tell Naruto about your dream. Mikoto shouted. Totally destroying his previous efforts as a blush crept up his face. Oh. That must be a really nice dream. Naruto said, a mischievous glint gracing his eyes. After some teasing, Naruto decided to greet Sasuke's mom. He really liked Mikoto. Even when she was a little too crazy for his taste. She was quite attractive for her age. She was not really old, but 6 years older than his mother, making her 42. Her onyx-colored eyes had something magical in them. Their effect was increased by her raven black hair which reached past her shoulder blades. If he had to compare both women, Mikoto would get the characteristics beautiful but at most crazy and manipulative, whereas his mother would get easy to anger but totally cute when excited. After exchanging greetings, Naruto and Sasuke were assigned to a group of volunteers by Kushina. Hey, only I-chan. Play with me. A little 5-year-old girl asked Sasuke, looking at him with puppy eyes. The other female adults on their playing table squealed in delight. H-hand and play with yourself. Sasuke stated coldly as he tried to push the little pest away. Oh, Sasuke-sama, he's so cool. One fangirl stated with dreamy eyes as she made plans in her mind. The Harper Sasuke-chan. Fangirls are dangerous. Yeah, and he's good with kids. Another fangirl added. Besides their blurred reality, Sasuke tried to fight off the little girl who really wanted to play with her Funyo Nigan. Sasuke, you are popular with the women folk. Maybe you should give up on being a shinobi and start producing grandchildren. Mikoto-san will be overjoyed, Naruto stated with a grin on his face. He couldn't believe how stupid his fans were. There's only one for me. Sasuke responded angrily at the sight of dumb fangirls sullying the great name of the Uchiha. Go away, little brat, pester someone else. Abruptly the girl was silent, too silent. Quiet hiccups were escaping her throat. Now you've done it. Making a little girl cry. A hero of the Uchiha clan. Naruto scoffed. Come here, little girl, the duck head on I-can is stupid. Naruto gestured with his hand. In his lap. The little girl sniffed and walked to Naruto, where he picked her up. As she sat face the face with the stupido Nigan, she turned out to be a mischievous little girl because she started to blow raspberries at Sasuke. Naruto couldn't help but laugh. Kushina-chan. Naruto has grown into a fine adult. Mikoto stated as she looked at the ludicrous scene. It's only sad that my son doesn't get along with children. Kushina-chan turned her head to her son's table. There was a little girl squeaking and laughing on her son's lap. She smiled at the sight of Naruto and the girl throwing stupid and childish words at Sasuke, who sat there visibly upset. Subconsciously she registered this particular event, reclassifying him not as a son but as a possible lover. Naruto-sama. You're natural with kids. The female beside him exclaimed, amazed at the unexpected statement. He turned his head to see her face. He didn't know her name, but he was sure that she got her tune in promotion last month. You don't have to call me Sama. My father is the one who is Hokage. I'm only a regular jonin. Naruto responded, diverting his attention back to the little girl, who started to doodle a ridiculous image of Sasuke. He had to fight hard to restrain his laughter. Meanwhile, the Kunoichi moved directly beside Naruto as they were now stool by stool. She looked at the picture and started immediately to giggle. Even Naruto couldn't restrain himself anymore. A hearty sound of laughter squashed through the air. Astonished, Kushina looked for the reason. A smile graced her face. Her festival was a huge success, but as she saw the picture in front of her eyes, her smile vanished. A foreigner would mistake the laughing trio for a happy family. Two young caring parents, delighted by their daughter's doodle. Normally the picture would be exemplary for a well-functioning family. But she couldn't stand the sight of a different female than herself clinging to Naruto's arm. Now the corners of her mouth were as flat as the S that she had. She started to emit a cataclysmic aura as an unfamiliar jealousy took control of her body. She narrowed her eyes at the woman before muttering manifold cuss words, none of them in the slightest gyrated. Makoto looked worried as she tried to free her friend out of her stasis. She mumbled some very bad words. It pained her, but she had to resort to violence. Giving the redhead a light slap. "Kushina, what's going on?" Makoto asked as she looked for a visible sign of life. Kushina snapped out of her stupor, rubbing her sore cheek. "Ouch. What was that for?" The redhead retorted, giving her best friend a harsh glare. "You looked like you were going to murder innocent rabbits. Someone had to stop the imminent slaughter." Makoto responded, giving her a playful wink. "I didn't mean to. I don't know what's wrong with me." "Maybe it's distress," Kushina stated, but in reality it was a futile attempt to reassure herself. She glanced a last time at her son's table, seeing an overjoyed girl hugging her newest favorite person. At that time, some very deep instincts kicked in, changing irrevocably her point of view of her son. It was already late evening as Kushina and Naruto walked home together. They were one of the last people leaving because they had helped to clean up the after effects of the festival. On the one hand, Naruto was overjoyed because he could make a little girl very happy, at least for one day. On the other hand, he felt depressed as he imagined that maybe his future daughter could live in an orphanage. The thought of him having a little girl of his own to love and to cherish, to protect and to shelter, to see her smile every day, made him sentimental. But there were always two people involved, Naruto thought mirthlessly. Totally oblivious to the person beside him who had her own share of problems, that stupid bitch. Playing happy family with him, Kushina ranted angrily in her mind. Many women were surprised to see Naruto got along well with children, increasing his popularity by the village's bachelor girls tenfold. He was already popular, mostly because of his being the son of their Hokage. But now, he proved to be a good father too. Unbeknown to our two Namikas, the gossip was already spreading through Konoha. By tomorrow, his fanbase would grow dramatically, making him the most popular bachelor in Konohagakure. "Kaizen, what is it like becoming a parent?" Naruto asked. His mother, breaking her out of her thoughts. "Huh? Well," Kushina considered her answer. While she was stared at by a curious Naruto. "You have to take a lot of responsibility. I want to know what it feels like." "What did you feel?" Naruto asked, unsatisfied with her previous answer. She could see a magic glint in his eyes, like he was very eager to gain knowledge about this topic. "I was happy, no, rather overjoyed. Like I was on the top of the world," Kushina stated, truthful to her feelings. Naruto looked at her in amazement as her feelings poured out, giving her body a warm peaceful glow. "I'm somewhat jealous of you. I would love to experience this feeling," Naruto said, with a slight grin on his face. "And somehow, I wouldn't mind experiencing this feeling with you," Kushina thought. After hearing his bold response, distracted by their conversation, they found themselves already in front of their house. It was a modest property for a Hokage. The village's councillor tried to persuade his father to move into a bigger and lordly house. But he always refused, saying that's the place he had founded his family. 20 minutes later, both of them sat at the dining table, drinking some green tea imported from Kiri no Kuni. Naruto praised her because of her engagement for their village, making her face blush. "What's wrong with me? My heart is beating so fast," Kushina thought as she recalled the day's events. "Somehow I felt really jealous seeing Naruto with that dumb girl," she admitted to herself, nodding her head. Meanwhile, Naruto decided to keep quiet and observe the strange behavior of the female in front of him. "Okay, he's very handsome. And he is really good with children," Kushina stated the facts mentally. And he's a damn stallion in bed," a voice in her head added. "That's right, I love how he can make me." "Stop, what are you doing here?" Kushina angrily questioned her alter ego. "I beg your pardon. I'm only planning to provide us with a little good sex." Her alter ego stated soberly. Why do you think I need sexual intercourse? So badly? I'm completely fine. You don't have to. Kushina tried to reassure her counterpart. But was interrupted by a heated response. Don't give me that crap. As a matter of fact. We share the same feelings and the same emotions. I know you want to be coveted by Naruto. You love to be desired physically by him. That's something Minato hasn't given us for years. But he's my son. I'm his mother. It wouldn't work. Kushina countered. Slightly defeated. True love transcends all boundaries. Are you really happy with the way it works? No sex, no caress, no passion, only being the Hokage's trophy wife. Then settle for your boring life. Or do you feel that life has prepared something better for you? Something special? Her alter ego spoke before vanishing into Kushina's vast subconsciousness. I'm all sweaty. I'll take a shower and go to sleep. Good night, Kazan, Naruto said as he stood up after deciding that he had seen enough of her strange behavior. It's now or never. Kushina thought as she raised her head. Naruto was about to enter the stairs, which connected the first and second floor of the building as Kushina abruptly stood up, causing her chair to fall backwards. As he heard the bang of wood hitting wood, Naruto stopped dead in his tracks, turning around and looking for danger. Are you alright? He asked her, visibly worried. She circled the table in silence, so that they stood directly in front of each other. He furrowed his brow at her strange behavior. I want to make a proposal, Kushina exclaimed in a nervous voice. Naruto tilted his head so that he could see directly in her eyes. After all, Naruto was 6 inches taller than her. He gave her a questioning glance, silently asking her to continue her speech. It's an indecent proposal, Kushina whispered. As she lowered her head, Naruto put his index finger under her chin and slowly moved her head up so that Naruto could look into her eyes again. There's not an indecent thing in you, Naruto whispered in a loving voice and placed the soft peck on her lips. Kushina closed her eyes and smacked her lips, savoring every tiny bit of his taste. It was a brief kiss, but so incredibly innocent and emotional that it drove her simply crazy. I didn't tell you anything yet. What are you doing with her? Cute but meaningless resistance was silenced by a second kiss. The second one was a little longer, giving him time to tease her lips with his tongue. She gave him a betrayed look as she got no chance to use her own tongue. Let me explain my prop. She was silenced again by the now third kiss. His tongue begged her lips for entrance, which they gladly granted. In her mouth started a battle for supremacy. Her efforts were eager, but in the end Naruto won the fight and dictated the order in his new ring. After 20 passionate seconds, both of them needed to catch breath. Kushina braced herself by putting her hands and head on his torso. She could hear his calming heartbeat, making her cozy and busy. Let me finish as I am saying, Tebane, Kushina exclaimed in a last-ditch effort to get her son to listen, although she had to breathe hard because of their previous prolonged kiss. Naruto, as his arms around her hips and placed his chin on her head before stating, there's no need to tell me anything. I already know. Kushina's violet eyes widened in surprise. Was she so easy to read? Her musings were interrupted as Naruto took her into his arms bridal style. Her arms instantly embraced his neck in order to give her back somewhat balance of her body. His movements caused her long red hair to waver in the air, giving her an angelic appearance. He carried both of them to his own bedroom, stating that tonight she would be his guest. In his room he asked her the most important question of the night. Do you want to take a shower with me? He wanted to strip her out of her clothes, but she slapped his hand away, stating that she would feel dirty and sweaty. He told her that he wouldn't really care, but accepted her decision nonetheless. With a couple of fluid and experienced hand movements, she took care of her fiery hair. Now a bun graced her head, reducing her hair length enormously as it reached just about her shoulder. He observed her thoroughly, memorizing every part of her body as she started to undress herself. She looked incredibly beautiful in her state. A huge red blush was creeping up her face because of his embarrassing observation. He took her hand and guided her in his bathroom. Luckily his shower was big enough so that two people could fit in and move around comfortably. Naruto opened the water tap, accurately adjusting the mixture between warm and cold water as he decided that the water temperature would be right to fulfill his lover's demand. He turned the shower head, splattering her with a warm liquid without warning. Yuck! Kushina cried out, surprised by his action, earning a hearty chuckle from his lover. She decided to take revenge as she grabbed the shower head. However, Naruto straightened his arm and it was now too far away for Kushina to reach it. As she started to sulk, Naruto couldn't resist anymore. You're so unbelievably cute, Naruto said with a huge grin. Then he placed the shower head on its mount and turned around to Kushina. He's his hands around her hips, pulling her against him, then his hands wandered to her firm-ass cheeks. He groped her. But in order to feel their soft plumpness, a soft escaped her throat, only to be silenced by a sloppy, wet kiss. I love your bottom. It's so firm, yet so soft, Naruto praised her before giving her a special thorough groping. Naruto turned her around so that she had to place her hands against the wall. He bent down, relishing in the sight of the two most beautiful ass cheeks in the world. He placed his hands on the side of each cheek to feel the soft tissue of her butt. Grinning wickedly, he started to pull them apart just to push them together again. The gorgeous side of Kushina's ass cheeks was enough to make him horny beyond belief. He stopped the movements and buried his face in her ass. Don't spread my butt. Your nose is poking my butthole. Kushina exclaimed appallingly. However, her words didn't meet her actions as she started to push her butt against his face. But a mere contact was not enough to please him anymore. Naruto's mouth latched humbly on her left cheek, building up a vacuum through. Next he ground his teeth against her exposed flesh, causing her to squirm. He held her firm in place as he produced hickey by hickey on her butt. You're on my butt. Kushina cried in pleasure. She was on cloud nine as Naruto ravaged her firm butt. Like a gourmet, he savored every tiny bit of her cheeks with relish. She was as ready as a woman could be after feeling the heavenly pleasure as her butt was eaten up by the one she loves. As she could feel his teeth sink in her plump butt, she couldn't help but start squirming. By now her powerful lubrication began to drip out of her. Your butt is dangerous. It looks like a ripe fruit. I couldn't help but try to taste it. Naruto acknowledged the appealing force of Kushina's rear section. He was ready to accelerate the pace. He slapped her lightly to give her a sign to turn around. Her sore butt could now rest against the cool wall. Naruto was mesmerized by Kushina's. A thin thread of juice started to dangle down from her labia. He took advantage of the favorable situation and twisted it around his index finger. He ate up the rare delicacy and savored it with gusto. I shouldn't have done that. My boner is killing me. Naruto ended his misfortune. Hindsight is easier than foresight. Kushina giggled. But I love you very much, so I don't really mind. His erected member started to throw up. Painfully, an unmistakable sign of neglect. He really wanted to pound his bag in her unparalleled type. But first of all he wanted to explore her love canal with his tongue. He began to lick carefully her inner labia carefully. They had a unique sweet and sour flavor. He took them in between his lips, tenderly pressuring them in order to achieve a reaction from his lover. A deep escaped her throat as she grabbed his hair. Kushina used her other hand to push him deeper into her. Her aroused reaction caused him to smile against her. He really loved to spoil her wet. The next thing he would do was to tease her clitoris. His tongue brushed against her sensitive organ every now and then in order to make her crazy. Without mercy and without warning. He forcefully latched his mouth onto her entrance, producing the lewd slurping sound she loved to hear. Kushina was in ecstasy as his tongue parted her folds and pierced her inner canal. It started to jump around, causing her to produce even more of her sweet nectar. After tasting his beautiful queen in her most private part, he decided to feast on another delicious part of her femininity. He rose from her thighs, causing his erected member to slap against her start. He tilted his head to give her a long, sloppy kiss. Now you can taste yourself. You are so yummy. Naruto exclaimed before exchanging fluids of saliva and female ejaculation with Kushina. She was caught off guard by his action because normally someone wouldn't try to eat his own ejaculation. However, she was pleasantly surprised by her own taste. He directed his glance at her ass. They looked like ripe fruits too, inviting him to take a taste. He brought his head to their level to observe the erectness of her pink ass. You both must be pretty lonely, but do not worry. I will adopt and take care of you. Naruto spoke in a tender voice. Kushina rolled with her eyes. That is ridiculous form of affection. Put your head in between them and something wonderful will happen. Kushina told him, a bright smile gracing her face. Naruto couldn't defy his queen. He complied with her command and pushed his face in the valley of her round soft globes. And now? MMFF. Naruto was silenced as Kushina pushed her hands against the sides of her ass, sandwiching him in the middle. Ah yes. Lick them. Taste them to your heart's content. Kushina ordered giddily. Naruto broke free of her pleasant ensnarement just to take the thrill of her ride as a whole. She threw her head back, completely enjoying the feeling of suction on her. He used his tongue to tease her and gorge, causing her to naughtily. He loved to hear the pleasure he was giving her. After giving her mother an equal share of attention, he noticed But the shower was not the right place to take things further. Playtime is over. Come with me. Naruto ordered as he closed the water tap. Kushina was taken aback by his forceful command. Tonight I will not stop until I stain you completely in white. Kushina was heavily aroused after his bold statement. What? We didn't shower yet. Kushina tried to persuade him as she was pulled by him. Back to his bedroom. He threw her on his bed while deciding what he could do with her on his next move. His eyes sparkled with anticipation as he started to crawl toward her. Kushina didn't like the look he was giving her and started to slide toward the bedhead. Naruto shook his head at her cute attempt to escape. But he grabbed her ankles, constraining further movements. What are you planning to do with me? Kushina asked with a mixture of concern and excitement in her voice. I'll make you feel good. But first of all please, under your bun, Naruto asked. He rubbed her ankles with his thumbs while she complied with his demand. Her long red hair fell down behind her back. Naruto kept hold of her hips and started to pull her to the footboard. He stopped his movement as her butt rested ahead of the edge of the bed. Her magnificent head of hair laid out spread over her. On his bed, only her strands, which framed both sides of her face, were now resting on her collarbone. In summary, it was a sight to behold. Gorgeous, Naruto whispered in a low voice at the incomparable sight. His trance was interrupted by a giggling Kushina. He gave her a questioning glance. You know I used to hate my hair. I'm somewhat happy that there's someone who could be so mesmerized by it, Kushina said warmly. Naruto was appalled. He totally adored her red mane. We do have to talk about the proposal. It all has to end when your father comes back, Kushina told him. Naruto smiled, a sign of his approval. He picked up her feet in order to give her a nice, comforting massage. What do you think? Like lovers? Naruto asked as he played with her petite toes. Like lovers? Kushina repeated his question as she understood the meaning of his question. Her face blushed and the beat of her heart increased. In short, her body was on fire. Like lovers then, Kushina whispered, giving him the signal he eagerly waited for. Then you will cease being my mother for the next 10 days. Kushina-chan, Naruto smiled as he spread her legs and crawled on top of her so that they were face to face. Her bosom was squished between them and his erected member rested at her entrance. The feeling of his tool rubbing against her labia made her crazy. Next he entangled his fingers with hers before raising their arms over her head. She was completely at his mercy as she gave away the last opportunity to brace herself, but he wanted to build up more tension in her. Naruto attacked her defenseless neck, torturing her with sweet butterfly kisses. After producing 1 or 2 hickeys on her sensible skin, he kissed her on the mouth. Deciding it was now time to release her of her pent-up tension, he pushed his throbbing member slightly forward. Now he could feel how her inner labia engulfed the head of his. He entered her only by an inch, but her inner wall was already clenching his member for her dear life. He could hear her although muffled through the passionate kiss they were sharing. Inch by inch he pushed his in her, or love canal as he liked to call it. 8 inches later. The tip of its head rested directly in front of her cervix. A final thrust caused a touching between the two lovers. Her inner walls flooded around him in order to map the structure of the bold invader. Its bulging veins and swollen head were immediately registered by her genitals. She prepared everything necessary to reduce the friction between them. Her lubrication started to flow in even bigger amounts. You are the best, outstanding. Every time I thrust out I can feel it sink me back in. Mine is going to melt. Naruto edged in between his breaths. Kushina was happy as he praised her private part, but she wanted to give him dirty talk too. I love it when your swollen tip kisses my cervix. I love the feeling of enlarged veins rubbing against the folds of my walls. It makes me crazy. In order to intensify the thrusts, Kushina wrapped her legs around his back. She wanted to brace herself, but Naruto was holding her firm by their entangled fingers. She arched her back as another wave of pleasure hit her. He increased the pace of his thrusts. His balls were now slapping against her bottom. It was like their first time. He was very eager to receive a fountain of her ejaculation on his balls. Normally he would feel a slight pain when his balls were about to release a moderate amount of. But as she sprayed her love juice against them, the pain vanished into nothing. Thrust harder. Faster. Kushina commanded as she felt a familiar knot of heat building up in her abdomen. Me. Kushina cried out as a powerful orgasm started to roll over her. Her body fluid started to leak out of her, indicating that she was already far more than wet. As he gave her cervix a particularly deep kiss, she surrendered to the pleasure. Naruto saw her eyes rolling back into her head and a line of saliva drooling out of her mouth. He felt the contractions of her walls as she tried to milk his seed. but he wasn't ready to. Yet. He wanted to ravage this tight just a little longer. You want to milk me? You're so damn tight. I can't hardly move. Naruto grunted, having serious problems trying to maintain his steady thrusts. He decided to slow down a bit and use the rest to kiss her French style. She was weakened from her previous orgasm and gave his tongue instant access to her mouth. Inside her mouth started a playful battle between them. After exchanging saliva and love, Naruto returned to his previous pace and hammered him in her wet tight. I love the feeling of you. Squishing against my skin, Naruto whispered in her ear. He resorted to dirty talk in order to bring her closer to her second orgasm. Curiously, he remembered at this moment an article about sex techniques in the past. Apparently, men used his hips to give their essay vertical motion. As he was already in the perfect position to test the knowledge, he gave it a try. Kushina's eyes widened by an unfamiliar sensation. You're jumping around. It's bumping against my walls. I'm being a second T. Kushina cried as the next huge orgasm hit her. But before she could finish her sentence, Naruto sealed her mouth shut with another sloppy kiss. Her tightness was increasing with every one of her orgasms. He would soon give in the pleasant feeling of his being knelt and its head bumping against her cervix. A small drip of pre had already leaked out of his as her second orgasm faded away. Her perception was already blurred. She wanted to be staying with him. Her womb was begging for the warm shower. But its best milking efforts were unanswered. She almost lost consciousness as she felt the immense pressure on the dam of her female ejaculation. Her dizzy eyes snapped open as a gushing fountain sprayed out of her. He waited for this moment. Her precious juice splattered against his genital, melting away the pain of merely bursting balls. He felt the circling of his scrotum. He could only imagine the devastating outcome of his imminent ejaculation. He stopped his powerful thrust as the orgasm hit him like a sledgehammer. For a last time he pushed his in her, reaching deeper than ever before. His tip was buried in her cervix, already surpassing the definition of a mere kiss. He felt every movement of his seat. As a matter of fact, it was not a steady movement, rather thrusts. As Naruto ran his in her cervix, Kushina's body began to spasm as an effect of her third orgasm. Her hunger started a final attempt to milk the white ejaculation from him, this time successfully. Her wall clamped down on his tool. Every fold was caressing one of his bulgy veins. His already enlarged body started to swell even further. She was now completely filled with his meat, taking the form of its shape. As her cervix sensed the looming shower, its mouth started to open, causing the tip to dive in a little bit farther. His would be sprayed without hindrance in her most sacred part. Small vibrations announced the beginning of the end, accompanied by his mighty roar. A thick rope sprayed from his, just to be splattered in the blink of an eye against the back of her womb. Kushina lost the remaining perception she had left as an unstoppable series of white thick blobs sprayed in her womb. The powerful spurts of ejaculation went into business themselves, causing warm thick waves of seed to slosh around. After 30 seconds of strenuous squirting, Naruto's orgasm started to fade away. He got an indecently huge grin on his face. Because this time I'll classed easily the first 2 times with her. A quick glance at her face confirmed his assumptions. His lover was pretty much spaced out as he felt the closing of her cervix's mouth on his member's tip. He expected that her womb must be filled up to the brim. He placed a genuine peck on her lips, causing her to regain her consciousness. My womb is so full. I can feel you're sloshing around. Kushina ended in a blissful state. I couldn't help but spray buckets on you. But I promised you to stain your womb in white, Naruto whispered, relishing in the feeling of her inner canal caressing his enlarged member. Ah, I nearly forgot. Happy Mother's Day, Kushina-chan, Naruto whispered before engaging her in another tongue battle. After his victory he added, even when I'm not currently your son. Well, thank you Naruto-kun. Kushina smiled and leaned in for another kiss. After their heated sexual intercourse she sensed a particular wetness in her back. We didn't tell ourselves after showering, now your bed is soaked. We may as well sleep in my bed. You're allowed to carry me. Kushina ordered playfully while giggling. I'm allowed to. Well, it's an honor, your highness. Naruto thanked her with a wicked grin on his face. Before releasing her restrained arms, he took her bridal style and carried them over to her bedroom. They crawled under the blanket with Kushina resting her head on his broad shoulder. Her index finger drew small circles on his muscular torso. That was heavenly. Kushina sighed dreamily. Yes, it was. We'll do it many times in the next few days. Brace yourself, Naruto warned her while moving his hand to her butt. You're poking my butthole. Kushina stated calmly. You can tell. Naruto asked innocently. It's my butthole, baka. Kushina tried to sound angry, but a sweet tiredness took control of her. In the next moment Naruto could feel her warm steady breath against his skin. He smiled at her peaceful side and thought to himself, I really love you, my most precious person. Author's note, hello everyone. It's Mother's Day not only in many countries throughout the world but in Kanehadu. You may have noticed the use of Japanese expressions like kazan or baka. I decided to use them to a limited extent. That means there will be expressions in direct speech. For the rest that will resort to normal English expressions to describe things. No need to complicate a simple matter. In the end I want to respond to some reviews. Number 1, about Naruto calling Kushina different names. He calls her Kushina Shinakushi when they are in lover's mode. At the beginning of the previous chapter they had a heated discussion. Naruto felt he would do more harm than good if he would call her in an affectionate form. Also she acted like his mother. Number 2, about Naruto reducing his perverseness. Kushina may be adjusting to it and become herself a little bit addition cough in my eyes. It is nothing indecent, rather a loving act between two faithful lovers. Number 3, about adding Makoto in the harem. Sorry but that won't happen. Don't expect a harem scenario in the next 10 chapters. Naruto likes her because of previous events. Kushina and Makoto are close friends. So it's only natural that Naruto was around her in his childhood. I don't plan to pair Sasuke with his mother either. He has only eyes for his Kakahim. The sun slid slowly over the treetops of the trees, which shaped a natural defense since the founding of this first shinobi village. The first rays of sun brought the wonder of nature back to life again. Petite and agile birds flew from tree to tree while chirping. The local flora started to wake up from their nightly sleep. As flowers angled their heads at the life-giving everlasting sun. It was a peaceful morning in Ainokuni's biggest military base called Kanehigakure no Sato. In a particular house inside this great village, a couple experienced an especially peaceful morning. They lay in a semi-fetal position. His torso against her back and his genitals against her buttocks. She was embraced by his muscular arm. It was a position which provided maximum physical contact and closeness between two love-struck people, thereby labeled as spoon position. The man's eyelids fluttered gently as he could pick up a well-known scent. His now open eyes were allured by the beautiful female beside him. He pressed his nose in his lover's magnificent head of hair in order to inhale her flavor. Her warm odor brought a big smile to his face. He propped against his elbow to get a glimpse of her sleeping face. His female companion gave him a serene smile. Her facial expression betrayed her completely. He could read her like an open book. She had to be comfortable. According to the joyful sound she produced, he tenderly brushed a red strand of hair out of her face, causing the female to stir in her sleep. Her eyes opened halfway, indicating that she was in a dizzy, sleepy condition. His smile widened at her cute reaction as he affectionately caressed her warm cheek with his fingers. She looked him straight in his eyes, thus causing the fairy tale-like meeting between the male's sapphire blue eyes and the female's violet eyes. She gave him a seductive look as her tongue slid over her voluptuous lips, leaving behind a thin blanket of her juice. She tried to tease him by pursuing her lips, but her plan backfired as he noticed her mischievous attempt. He brought his lips close to hers so that only a thin sheet of paper could fit in between them. Her eyes gave testimony of her bewilderment. She arched her back to close the infinite small gap between them, but her actions were anticipated. Unhappy about her defeat, she let her body fall back on the soft mattress while changing her own rules of engagement. Her previous attempt to lure him into the first kiss of the day failed because of her offensive strategy. She would now resort to psychological warfare. His conscience would be the target of her attack. She gave him a hurtful glance before averting her eyes so that she wouldn't betray herself. He will soon fall in my trap, she thought while grinning mentally at her devious plan. His facial expression turned into a concerned one. His eyes were now full of regret because he offended her feelings with his withdrawal of love and affection. He reduced the distance between their faces. While thinking of an appropriate method to ask her forgiveness, he caressed her tip of nose with his own, causing her eyes to wander back to him. She considered herself satisfied with his display of affection. Her lips shivered with excitement as she could feel his warm breath on her lips. Only a little bit further and they will be connected. Only a blink of a second. And then she could taste him again. She closed her eyes to concentrate her whole being on the imminent kiss. And then she could feel how his warm hand tenderly fondled her ample bosom. What the hell? The female questioned angrily as a vein appeared on her forehead. She gave him a fulfilling accusing look, a look which could relate to the story about a female being cheated of her yearningly awaited kiss. He gave her no further chance to continue her rant as he pressed his lips on hers, basically stealing her kiss because she was given no chance to prepare for it. Her muffled screams weakened as he battled her tongue with his own. It was only a matter of time until his eager youthfulness prevailed over her resistance. His hand wandered from her bosom to her hip while he caressed the soft tissue of her skin. After their first time, he noticed that her skin was not the one of a 36-year-old female. It was so soft yet firm, it could only belong to a woman in her prime, meaning that her body stopped its aging process in her early 20s. He shook his head as he thought about the wonders of nature. He grabbed his lover's hip with his available hand and pulled her body on top of him. However, the momentum was stronger than anticipated, causing the couple to roll over each other. A playful battle arose in the situation. Soon, both female and male would be entangled into a mess of blankets and red hair. While kissing and groping each other, they continued their display of affection for another period of 30 minutes. "Naruto, we have to stop," the woman panted through her ass, while her lover produced big embarrassing hickeys on her unprotected neck. "I don't want to," Naruto responded in between his attacks. "You're acting like a spoiled child," the woman accused him as she purposely tried to push his head away from her neck. "I am an only child. Naturally, I'm spoiled. You're totally unreasonable." "Kushina-chan," Naruto mocked her while he shifted his attention from her neck to her bosom. "Ah, don't bite my ass," Kushina exclaimed as she thought about a way to escape. "Sorry, I'm really heated up. It's somewhat difficult to control myself now," Naruto apologized while his head wandered from her bosom to her belly. "I can't help but to feel excited when imagining that your flat belly could be growing soon. I would kill to see you in a pregnant state," Naruto told her while caressing her cute belly button. "Don't be silly. I don't understand why I'm letting you ejaculate inside me without protection," Kushina responded while thinking about the possible consequences. "I can tell you. It's because you absolutely love the feeling of my heart thinking you want." "Enough talk," Naruto said as his eyes gave her crotch a lustful glance. That glance was not unnoticed by Kushina-chan. She slid back to the edge of the bed and was about to stand up. But Naruto grabbed her hips and pulled her on his lap. Her voluptuous buttocks rested on his thighs while her back leaned against his muscular torso. Kushina was 5 inches smaller. But the difference in height was countered by her heightened sitting position. He seized the chance to place a tender pack on her delicate cheek. His hands were roaming over her body in order to discover every hidden secret of her body. Naruto wanted to find her weak points. He really loved to tease her without mercy because of the adorable and cute reactions she did make. His left hand fondled her left while his right one descended to her crotch. Her body shuddered as his finger circled her entrance, following the line of her outer labia. "Do you love it when I'm caressing your labia?" Naruto whispered his question in her ear with a naughty voice. "Don't stop," Kushina pleaded as her breath started to be ragged. Every now and then a small drip of juice started to leak from her. Naruto used the opportunity to coat his fingers and her labia with her juice. "How did it feel to be covered in your own juice?" Naruto continued his dirty talk as he whispered the next question in her ear. "It's sticky. I love it," Kushina painted. She couldn't believe her own words. 4 days ago she would have never thought about doing dirty talk, let alone with her son. After deciding that she was wet enough, he stopped his foreplay, giving her a few seconds to catch breath. His index finger slid then over the mouth of her. The mouth is also referred to as the infinite thin slit between her two labia. "I want to praise you for its tightness. It's absolutely sealed shut," Naruto narrated while caressing her praised genitals. Afterward he removed his finger from her genital, causing a fine thread of juice to dangle between her and his finger. "That's a sight to behold. Don't you agree with me, Kushina-chan?" Naruto whispered as he intensified his dirty game. Kushina was too embarrassed to answer his lewd question and buried her face in her hands. "You're such a spoilsport," Naruto stated wickedly as he completely understood the embarrassment he caused for Kushina. Naruto twisted her fine thread around his finger before staring trance-like at his now shiny index finger. "Do you want to eat it?" he asked her as he tried to suppress a chuckle. "What do you think?" Kushina said as she angrily threw back his bold question. "I hadn't thought otherwise. Time for plan B," Naruto thought while he executed his devious plan. He licked off the juice from his finger, much to the horror of Kushina. Afterward he locked her lips with his own while he pitilessly intruded her mouth with his tongue, and thus mixing her love juice with their saliva. "Resistance is futile, darling," Naruto playfully teased her again before he would release her out from his lap. It was indeed a wonderful morning. Kushina stood in the kitchen as she prepared breakfast. Her head was still dizzy from their previous encounter. She had never experienced such an erotic morning with a lot of kissing, petting and groping. Her mind wandered back to Naruto's excited comments about seeing her in a pregnant state. It was already too late to think about protection. We did it 2 times 3 days ago. At the first time Naruto overpowered me and exploited my weakened state. He even ignored me when I told him not to be inside me. Kushina thought as she recalled the past. And at the second time he led me in front of the mirror. Well, and naturally he ejaculated inside me again. 3 days, huh? Think about it, Kushina. You had to learn the boring stuff about child making at the academy. Kushina tried to gather the basic facts from her forgotten memories. He should have wandered through my uterine tubes by now. And provided that I had an ovulation at the correct time, then he could fertilize my egg by now. Kushina turned pale. After recapitulating the basic events. I can only hope that I didn't have my ovulation at the correct time. Kushina muttered without realizing that Naruto observed her the whole time. Are you already pregnant? Naruto asked with a huge grin on his face while he sat at the kitchen table. This is no time for joking. Kushina responded, slightly agitated, as she turned around. Maybe. You're not fertile anymore. It's not like you guys hadn't tried it. Naruto teased her again in his ruthless manner. What did you say? I'm an Uzumaki clan's woman, Kushina replied furiously. She is visibly vivid by now. She's pretty proud of her ancestry, he thought. While observing how she finished her preparations for breakfast despite her angry emotional condition. Here, eat up, Kushina nearly commanded as she put down his plate on the table. No, Naruto answered nonchalantly. He noticed a change in her eyes. Their expressions changed from angry to stunned to very angry. She was about to lash out at him. Verbally. As he grabbed her and pulled her on his lap, "You're going to feed me," he stated while putting on a huge grin on his face. "You can't be serious," she replied in a shocked condition. She tried to wriggle free, but his arms already were around her hips, holding her firmly in place. "Why shouldn't I be serious? You acknowledged it yesterday. There are still 9 days left with us being lovers," Naruto grinned at her. Her previous anger was already gone as a deep red blush decorated her face. She complied with his task and started to feed him with rice. It tastes at least twice as good as when you're going to be fed by a beautiful woman. Naruto exclaimed happily, causing Kushina's blush to intensify. "I'm really happy. It feels good when there's someone who really enjoys your presence." Kushina thought and a small grin appeared on her face. Despite the embarrassing situation. "You're quite heavy," Naruto stated while he shifted her on his lap. Kushina's smile fell instantly as she tried to wriggle free with more vigor than the last time. However, his ensnarement was still firm. "You misunderstood me," Naruto exclaimed, but that lessened her struggle in no way. He added, "Our girl. What I'm saying is that your weight feels quite nice." Kushina stopped her effortless fight and gave him an accusing glance before saying, "You shouldn't comment on a woman's weight. I thought you were smarter. I only wanted to say that it feels right to have you sitting on my lap." He spoke in a serene voice while giving a sheepish grin. Kushina narrowed her eyes at his last comment, unsure about whether she should forgive him or not. "I insist on compensation," Kushina told him before turning her head away. She simulated a sulky behavior. Although she had already forgiven him. "Oh, what could you possibly want?" Naruto asked the question more to himself than to her, causing her to sneak a peek at his face. "I could be you until you lose your consciousness, but you already have that, since we're lovers." Naruto listed his first idea, while Kushina's eyes grew large due to his statement. "Then we could make a baby, but perhaps we already did that already." He added his second idea. Kushina turned her head back at him and slapped him on his arm. "Not good. Then let us do something funny today." Naruto expressed his final idea. Kushina began to panic as she remembered something important. "I nearly forgot. Makoto invited me to their annual party. Sorry, but you'll have to do the funny things alone," Kushina told him. She left the kitchen as he released her from his lap. "A party, huh?" Naruto chuckled as he thought about the funny things he could do there. Author's note: hello. This chapter answered some questions, but new ones arose. It's not very long, but it leads to the next major event. Something important will happen at the party. Smiley face. Question: is Kushina pregnant? Kushina, you would like that? It's too early to say. I already stated the necessary conditions. Question: what's the connection between fertility and the Uzumaki clan? Kushina, the people of Uzashibaki were well known for their unusual long lives. That's the reason why the village got its nickname Village of Longevity. The Uzumaki clan was part of that village. There are some secrets revolving about the Uzumakas. But I won't tell you now. It was already late afternoon as two familiar people followed the way. The Konoha district. The woman was clad in a light blue kimono, which was decorated with golden ornaments on its long sleeves. The kimono's hem nearly reached her ankles, so she had to step carefully to avoid staining the expensive dress. Her complicated dress was secured by a nobi, which was folded like a flower on her back. Directly above her elaborated, not graced and unique rhombus-shaped clan sign the kimono's backside. The sign was cut in half in the middle. The upper side of the embroidery bore the image of waves, whereas the lower side bore the image of the wind. This sign visualized the family's name, Namikaze. Her companion wore a similar kimono, but the same sign on its back, although his obi was less dramatically folded than hers. It achieved its use, holding the delicate dress together. They continued their march in complete silence. Every now and then the man would risk a glance at the beautiful woman beside him. Her face was pale through the extensive use of powder. Her paleness was perfectly contrasted by her dark red lips, for which she certainly used her favorite lipstick. Her current appearance was the epitome of elegance and femininity. We will be perfectly on time. There is no need to be angry with me anymore. Naruto spoke as he tried to soothe her. He offered her his arm. She turned her head and gave him a disapproving glare. Nevertheless, she accepted his offer and linked her arm with his. I'm still angry, Kushina stated sourly. She wouldn't forgive him so easily. This time, he had disturbed her several times while she tried to get dressed for the upcoming party. Normally, she would have done her hair, but because of Naruto's antics there was simply no time anymore. She almost had to abandon her makeup as well. I'm sorry, he apologized. While rubbing the back of his head, he couldn't suppress the sheepish grin from appearing on his face, giving Kushina doubts about his honesty. Her doubts were completely justified because he enjoyed the afternoon greatly. He tried to help her with her search for the perfect dress for the day's occasion. Naturally, his search was limited to her underwear. As Naruto and Kushina entered the Uchiha district, they could see some of the other guests. For many, it was a rare possibility to meet the very important people in the village. The heads of the major clans would be surrounded by a lot of people who had tried to establish a steady relationship between them. Those people were heads of Konoha's smaller clans and rich merchants. Both groups wanted to be invited in the higher circles of Konoha's hierarchy. The first group tried to form alliances through arranged marriages between their heirs. But no major clan had wanted to waste an heir for a small, unknown clan. The second group used their huge asset for wooing, in other words simple bribery. However, Konoha's clans hadn't any money troubles because the village prospered without limitations under the reign of their fourth Hokage. And then there was the family of the so-called Hokage. Nobody got more focus from the people who desperately wanted to step up the social ladder. Before his first birthday, Naruto had received more than 20 proposals for an arranged marriage. But neither Minato nor Kushina wanted to force him into an arranged relationship. They thought he should have the chance to find his own happiness. It was hilarious how some people tried to befriend the Hokage through his son. However, Minato was soft-hearted by nature and ultimately it was Kushina's task to filter the genuine requests from the false ones. The basic principles of befriending the Hokage changed dramatically. You had to first get on Kushina's good side to build up a friendly relationship with the Hokage's family, giving her the reputation of a matriarch. Either they are totally overdressed or we are miserably undressed, Naruto stated after seeing the clothing of a merchant's wife. There was so much fur. Her mantle alone must have demanded the death of an entire family of furry creatures. I really hate these political occasions, Kushina groaned. You should have stayed at home. Now you will suffer my destiny. What do you think of me? I would never abandon you. If it means spending the evening at a boring party, I will be perfectly fine as long as you're with me. He spoke in a sweet voice. Kushina was speechless. That is touching statement. Well, maybe it wasn't so bad to take you with me. She responded while turning her head away in order to conceal her growing smile from him. Ah, are you blushing? So cute. Naruto teased her and instantly received his punishment in the form of a light slap on his arm. You're terrible. Kushina groaned again as she rubbed her temple. And you love it, he responded with a huge grin on his face, causing her to roll her eyes. As they were about to enter the mansion, Kushina gave him one last sharp glare, indicating that he should behave himself. For his own good. Kushina-chan. Oh my. I didn't expect you with an escort. And so handsome too. Makoto giggled as she greeted her friend. Kushina was about to answer her as Naruto took the opportunity. Good evening, Makoto Dano. I would like to thank you for your invitation to this party. On behalf of the Namikaze clan, maybe you would give us the honor to visit us in the near future. So that we can express our gratitude in the appropriate way. He finished his greeting as he placed a small kiss on the back of her hand. Naruto, I told you to behave. What are you doing? Kushina questioned him in a low voice. She didn't want to cause a ruckus. I'm merely greeting our parties. Host in the proper way. What do you think of me, Kusama? I'm hurt. Naruto sighed dramatically. However, Kushina didn't believe his farce for a second. Oh my. Naruto, you are lately turning into such a heartthrob. I hope your cousin knows how lucky she is. Makoto responded. As a small blush appeared on her cheeks, she placed a hand on her cheek and tilted her head, giving her female friend a serene smile. You are terrible, both of you. Kushina said. Both of them couldn't help but laugh after hearing her accusation. On the matter of teasing, Makoto and Naruto were professionals, especially when the victim was Kushina. You can already go ahead and enjoy the party. I've to receive the other guests. Makoto stated as she was about to greet the next pair of guests. And Naruto, tease your cousin for me. After the last statement, the so-called cousin gave her son a stern look which someone could easily translate into don't you dare. He gave her an innocent facial expression as they walked arm in arm to the mansion's main hall. Like in the laws of attraction, the similarly dressed Namikaze duo were approached by nearly everyone at the party. The young bachelorette tried to engage Naruto in meaningless conversations about his role as future clan head. Every now and then they mentioned his missing female counterpart. While giving him a seductive glance and twinkle in their eyes, Kushina's fate was far worse though. She had to endure never-ending suggestions about improving Konoha's economic competitiveness. She explained several times that they had to speak directly to her husband and that she wouldn't forward their ideas. But her words fell on deaf ears. Ultimately the duo was rescued by Makoto. As she returned from greeting the last guests. Makoto Dano, you're an angel of mercy. Naruto exaggerated shamelessly as he put his hands together to pray for her well-being. If I hear one more word about foreign trade, I will go postal, Kushina added. While giving her friend a warm smile as a sign of gratitude. I would like to spend more time with you, but I've got to take care of the other guests. And show favoritism here, Makoto said. While she gave them her signature wink. She disappeared almost instantly into the thick crowd of guests. Afterward, Naruto used a rare togetherness to glance at Kushina while he thought how he could tease her in the best way. Don't even think about it, his supposed victim stated. As she gave him a killing glance, if looks could kill. But without sacrifices, there will be no gain. He thought as he raised his hands in order to signalize his surrender. What do you want to do now, Kusama? He asked submissively. Kushina couldn't believe her eyes, he even bowed in front of her. To avoid further embarrassments, she took his hand, dragging him over to the next exit. She carefully avoided the other guests despite her crazy speed. Every now and then she had to sidestep to evade people. Which only served to annoy her, or so she thought. She was about to reach the safe haven. As her lucky streak ended abruptly. She crashed with all her momentum into another person. Causing both of them to fall down on the hard parquet floor. Ouch. What the heck? Are you trying to kill me? The knockdown person asked angrily. I'm very sorry. Wait, Sim, what are you doing here? Kushina spoke astonished. As she noticed her companion from older days. The pain from the crash already forgotten. Kushina. What do you think I'm doing here? I was on my way to plunder the buffet with no intentions. As some insane retard tackled me over, the now identified Sim answered. While she stood up and brushed off the dust. Naruto observed the interaction between the two women with interest before he decided to pick up his mother. Naturally she objected, but her protests fell on deaf ears. Simpson, I must apologize on behalf of my rude Kusama. Her manners are not the best, Naruto said while he bowed in front of her. Huh. Trying to annoy. Kushina. Keep up the good work, Naruto. Sim laughed heartily. Kushina couldn't believe her own eyes. As yet another friend betrayed her tonight. First Makoto and Naotsum. Apparently they like to make an unholy pact with the devil incarnate, also known as Naruto, but her bewildered condition changed swiftly as she grasped the sheer magnitude of the conspiracy against her person. Her facial expression reflected her newfound knowledge as she narrowed her eyes at them. She's so cute when she's fuming. Haha. Shina cannot handle embarrassing situations very well. She'll soon try something stupid. Tell ya, hey. Stop talking about me. Kushina tried to stop them. Unsuccessfully. Simpson, you surely know some funny stories about her. You wouldn't mind sharing them? You know, the embarrassing ones, Naruto asked with an evil glint in his eyes. Sure. I'll tell you some epic tales about Lil Sheena, but let's first grab us something to eat. I'm starving, Sim practically bellowed in laughter. Kushina had no other choice but to follow them and did her best to hinder Sim from telling stories from her past, which should already be long forgotten. What? I can't believe this. Naruto stated, astonished. He couldn't believe the crazy story his mother's friend was telling him. You bet. I'm not lying. Sim assured with a feral grin on her face. Over the last hour, Sim related a story from Kushina's academy days. Well, they ate exquisite slices of roast pork. Liachi Haas did things in style. The meat was prepared first class. On the other hand, Kushina didn't touch her plate at all. She had lost her appetite since she couldn't stop reviving the old memories. And of all things, Sim had to choose this particular one. She looked absolutely mortified. Her face looked even paler than before. Kusama, you have really changed over the years. Naruto diagnosed with his signature grin on his face. Kushina responded, slightly absent-minded. She had lost any perception somewhere in Sim's narration. It was probably her mind's own safety mechanism to avoid cyclical damage. Are you alright? Naruto was slightly worried. He even carefully waved in front of her face to cause a sign of life. But her lack of reaction didn't change. Don't worry. Soon she will be herself again. Probably, Sim said, not in the slightest worried about Iridi's pitiful condition. Hello Kushina-san, Naruto-san. And Yut-san. Didn't you only want to grab something to eat and return afterward? Now I was chosen to look for you. What a drag, Shikaka said, slightly furious. The mischievous duo blinked at the new arrival. Naro Shikaka and his son, Shikamaru, were known for their laziness. But the older Nara's statement sounded akin to a rant. And that was practically unheard of. Sorry Shikaka. But it's really Sheena's fault. She crashed into me, so I had to tell Naruto some old stories. Sim's excuse was very weak. But Shikaka wasn't in the mood to press things further. After all, it would be way too troublesome. He then directed his gaze at Naruto, who became a little nervous under his calculated vision. Naruto-san, do you have time for me? I would like to talk with you. Talk with me? Yeah, sure, Naruto accepted Nero's strange request. But first he asked Sim to keep an eye on his incapacitated mother. Before he followed the older shinobi outside. They stood by the mansion's rich decorated balustrade. Their view directed at the beautiful garden, which was located at the mansion's backside. The terrace was completely illuminated through the powerful light of the full moon. What do you know about my occupation within the village? Shikaka's question was merely rhetorical. He was completely sure that Naruto knew very well about Konoha's complicated and ensnared political situation. Naruto could already guess the topic of this conversation as he narrowed his eyes because of his newfound knowledge. First of all, you can drop the sand. I've known since ages. After all, I used to hang out with Shikama when we were kids, Naruto said before directing his gaze at the seasoned shinobi. You're the head of the Nara clan. Being clan head on its own is respectable enough. But that means nothing compared to your work as Jonin and commander. I would dare to say that you have more political power than the two village councillors. And naturally you spend a lot of time with our Hokage. Naruto finished his summary before he redirected his gaze at the pond in front of them. Very well, I won't ask you why you said our Hokage instead of my father. But I have to address a very serious topic. Our Hokage and I. We both think that you are wasting their potential. After being trained by Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama, you instantly achieved the rank of Jonin. In terms of skill, you are at the top, far better than most of our seasoned Jonin. But in terms of political awareness, you are apparently not interested. You're a good shinobi. You could be a great one. Someone who could be a great personality in the future, fitting to be Hokage. Shikaku spoke with unknown vigor. Are you finished? Naruto asked. Clearly uninterested. While his eyes followed the fluid movements of a particular colorful koi carp in the pond in front of them. Minato didn't lie when he said that you would react unreasonably. But you cannot run away from the responsibility forever. However, I'm sure it is the proper motivation you are lacking. Shikaku finished his speech before he turned around to return to the mansion's main hall. Me? A Hokage? Don't make me laugh. I'll never strive for that position. Naruto responded nonchalantly in such a manner that someone could nearly hear the venom in his voice dripping on the floor. His remark caused Shikaku to stop in his tracks. The clan had turned his head to look at him again. Naruto's position was unchanged. The young adult still leaned against the terrace's balustrade. His head deep sunk in rebellious thoughts. His gaze remained at the young shinobi, which was completely illuminated by the moonlight. He waited a few seconds before he spoke. Never say never. This party is outstanding for Gakusama. And your lovely wife is a superb host. I cannot express my gratitude for your invitation in the appropriate manner, some merchant said in an aristocratic dialect. Well, he tried to sound like one. Naturally, there were other people around the Uchiha's clan leader. And his wife. All of them tried to gain the couple's favor. Their efforts were interrupted as a young male Uchiha approached the crowd and placed his mouth near Fugaka's ear. You wanted to be informed. When they arrived, Fugaka-sama, the unnamed one whispered in his clan head's ear. If you may excuse me, I've something to take care of. Makoto, please continue to tend to our guests, Fugaka spoke before he started to march off to the part of the mansion which was not open to the public. 5 minutes later, he finally reached his destination. Two Uchiha, with activated Sharingan to notice every form of Genjutsu, acted as guards. They cleared the path for their leader and opened the door to the mansion's inner sanctum. The room was dark. Only the rays of a dimmed light illuminated the outlines of the 8 shady persons inside. Fugaka took his right place as the Uchiha clan's leader. At the tea table's head. He activated his own Sharingan and with 3, the maximum count of Thomos started to spin in his eyes. The other Uchiha did the same. 8 pairs of full matured Sharingans were directed at him. Now he could be sure about their identity. Fugaka, let us begin our meeting immediately. One of the unknown Uchiha spoke with power in his voice. We would like to hear your plans for our clan, the Uchiha at the end of the table said with interest. Uchiha. The clan of the fire user. The clan with the power of the Sharingan, also known as the Heaven's Eye. The clan who has co-founded this very village, it is time to take what was ours to begin with. Fugaka spoke with pride and determination. What do you mean by that? The Uchiha directly beside him asked, with a hint of discomfort in his voice. Fugaka's sharing. And started to spin madly. Before he continued his speech, our great ancestor was betrayed by the traitorous Senju, as they named themselves Shadame and Nadame Hokage in their own autocratic way. Moreover, they betrayed us again, as the Nadame appointed that weak-minded fool of Sarutobi to be the Sandame Hokage, and the epitome of impudence was the coronation of that nobody Namikaze. For generations of Hokage and each time the Uchiha were overlooked, the indigeneity comes to an end. Now, Yandane will be dead soon, and then I'll be Hokage. Naruto was completely absorbed in thoughts. As he was still standing at the mansion's balustrade after Shaka left him with his mysterious last words. Me Hokage. This position demands way too much. Sand had to sacrifice too much of his free time. I can remember the lonely evenings with Kasan very well. Naruto thought while his gaze wandered over the backyard's beautiful garden which was illuminated by the moonlight, but because of that I had Kasan's undivided attention. I don't want to, no, I can't even imagine a childhood without her. His gaze rose until the moon was in his field of vision. He couldn't help but smile as he replayed an especially happy memory of them in front of his mind's eye. Flashback, a little boy of 5 years rushed through the rooms of his house looking for one special person while he bounced up and down like a rubber ball. His happiness was written all over his face. Ka-chan. The little boy of 5 years shouted joyfully. Ka-chan, I cleared up my room. Now you have to show me some awesome shinobi tricks. You promised to call Ka-chan. The woman in her mid-20s with ridiculous long red hair spun around, not even the slightest bit surprised about the antics of her son. Narichan, which promise do you mean? I can't remember. She spoke out her blatant lie while she had to suppress a hearty giggle. She loved to tease her little one. Narichan was aghast. But you promised. He protested with his tiny arms flailing up and down, making him look like a little bird. His cute behavior drove her over the edge as she couldn't force her facial expression to remain blank. She broke out and laughed her while she sank to her knees and pulled him into a loving embrace. She smiled warmly and kissed his cheek. Undoubtedly a sign of a mother's unconditional love for her child. Then she took his tiny hand and guided them to the big red couch in their living room. She sat down on the soft fabric and placed him on her lap. Hi Narichan. I promised. Don't make promises you can't keep. Now what do you want me to show you? She asked gently. Show me the 2 shinobi jutsu. What? She was clearly confused. Which jutsu did he mean? 2-chan uses it every time you tell him to take the box-kun out. He said with enthusiasm. Box-kun? She asked surprised. Box-kun was the name of their garbage can. It was Kushina's idea to teach their son some standard domestic skills at the very beginning of his life. She wanted to eradicate every possibility that he could suck into a compulsive hoarder. He had to throw his garbage into a box can because she told him that the yellow garbage can would starve otherwise. Naturally, Naruto wouldn't want to be blamed for the death of box can. Yeah, and the two shinobi jutsu. That's so cool. His amazement didn't know any boundaries. Minamoto-kun used it. Kushina frowned as she tried to combine the facts. Wait. That lazy bum uses doppelganger techniques in order to avoid throwing out the garbage. And personally. Tonight, we will have a little chat, my darling. Well, Naruto, you're two shinobi. Datsu is called the arc of the doppelganger. There are many different forms. There is the normal Bunshin no Jutsu, which creates intangibles, copies of the user. However, the copies are not real, but a simple illusion. In exchange, the shinobi doesn't have to use much chakra to create a doppelganger, but there are also large varieties of doppelganger techniques which create solid copies. Additionally, you can change the outer appearance of a doppelganger with the usage of Henj no Jutsu. Kushina explained the differences between the techniques like a senior academy instructor. She was very glad that she was able to teach him the basic abilities of a shinobi. That would surely give him an advantage against other children when he started as shinobi. Career in the academy next year. Naruto looked up at her with wide eyes. Can you create a copy of Tuchin? She didn't really expect that answer. It pained her that Minato spent so little time with his son. But his duties to the village came first. Regrettably, his role as father and husband is only second to that. She could produce a perfect copy of him very well, but somehow she didn't like the idea of that. Well, Naruto, I have an even better idea. Kushina answered, informed. The necessary signs to perform Kegaben Shin no Jutsu. Luckily, I can feel my chakra today. Otherwise this wouldn't work. With a loud poof, an exact replica of her appeared in front of them. Ah-chan, you're awesome. Naruto praised her with all of his childish innocence. He was much too enthralled by the wizard-like performance to register the evil glint in his mother's eyes. Soon after, the Kushina duo started their merciless tickle attack. Ha ha. Ha-chan. Stop, ha ha ha. Naruto half screamed, half laughed, but his protests fell on deaf ears. As the duo advanced their attacks on his especially ticklish areas, but they stopped their vicious assault as suddenly as they started it. Furthermore, Naruto was now embraced by not one, but two Kushinas. Naruto, I love you, both Kushina, original and doppelganger, spoke their deeds of love with perfect synchronization. Ka-chan, I love you too. Naruto replied without knowing the deeper meaning behind this special scene. Flashback end. That was a nice day. It reminds me to show her how much she means to me later on. Naruto commented with a huge grin on his face. He was about to rejoin his mother and the others at the mansion's main hall when an unknown voice surprised him. I really wonder in which fashion you are showing her your gratitude. But I'm more curious about her. Who is she? A female spoke in a seductive manner. Naruto's eyes widened as he spun around to identify the eavesdropper. He was angry with himself for allowing someone to sneak up on him. But the new sight made him forget his fury in a split second. His eyes fell on a young girl, which couldn't be described other than simply breathtaking. The first feature that erected his attention was her rich kimono. A small black stripe decorated her margin, otherwise it was completely made of white silk, giving the wearer a glowing aura of pureness. The second feature was her creamy white skin and her pitched black eyes and hair. Her hairstyle, her facial features and her overall appearance made her look like a carbon copy of the Uchiha matriarch. Only that she was about 20 years younger. However, there was a small but important difference in the hairstyle between Makoto and her. Like his mother, she had long strands of hair that framed both sides of her face, reaching down till the area of her ass. His eyes were magically drawn by her ample bosom, a fact that wasn't unseen by the mysterious beauty. Oh, do you like what you see? The unknown beauty teased that she saw his gaze moving from her head to her upper torso. She cupped her ample bosom with her hands and pushed them together. Do you want to touch them? She had, while a light tinge of pink graced the pale skin of her cheeks. If I want to touch, I can touch. What Naruto couldn't comprehend the situation. 1,000 questions flew through his head. Who was she? What did she want to achieve? Could he really touch her ass? Naturally, his inner turmoil was noticed by her, causing her to stop her seductive behavior as she placed her hands on her cheeks to hide her embarrassment. Naruto-sama wants to do naughty things to me. Her voice trembled while she tilted her head to look even more innocent and vulnerable. What? Be quiet. You're lucky that we are alone. Naruto tried to shush her. He didn't even want to imagine what could happen if someone would see them. The devilish girl stepped forward so that her bosom was squished in between their bodies. Her hands wandered from his hips to his head, where she dug her fingers in the sensitive skin of his neck. She raised her head to see the blank horror in Naruto's face. Her actions did exactly what they were supposed to do. Naruto-sama, can you feel the attraction between us? I can practically see the sexual energy that is surrounding us, she said in a sultry voice. Her eyes never leaving his. She removed her hands from his neck and turned around so that she could let herself fall against his torso. In the process of turning around, Naruto saw the trademark of the Uchiha clan on her kimono's back, the red-white fan. You're of the Uchiha clan. How come I don't know you? Naruto asked, suddenly suspicious of her motives. It took you so long to notice such an obvious act. The female cleverly evaded his question. The tone of her voice changed, as it was now more dominant and playful, as it was before. On second thought, I think you have offended me for not noticing the clear signs of my heritage. Do you mind telling me these clear signs, though I'm Sama? Don't dare mock me. However, I do feel sorry for you for not being able to see it, she expressed her fake sympathy. I'm honored that you won't let me die dumb, he stated nonchalantly, rolling his eyes. The time will come that you will beg me for forgiveness, Naruto clan. There are 2 dead giveaways. The first one is my kimono. Who else would dare to wear a completely white one? Only the Uchiha are allowed to. Anything else would be utter blasphemy. Naruto's sweat dropped. This girl is crazier than your average Uchiha. I don't think I want to hear the second sign. But a more peculiar one is the second one. My beauty. She took his hands and placed them on her hips. Your beauty? Naruto asked, unsure about whether or not she was joking. Yes, certainly. Such a high-class body like this one can only belong to a woman of the Uchiha clan, she responded. While she guided his hands higher and higher. Luckily, he could disengage himself from her clasp. A second before she would have pushed his hands onto her bosom. This girl was no good for him. Oh Naruto clan, don't lie to yourself. You want to touch them. Right? She turned around again and switched into her playful mode seamlessly. You are quite the arrogant one. He said calmly and without reacting to her newest advance. Naruto clan, you hurt me. I'm not arrogant. I'm merely taking the proper place in our society, she responded, and according to your logic, the proper place is above everyone. Well, I will be the next Hokage's wife. Naturally. My husband will be equal to me. Sometimes, she grinned. The next Hokage's wife? Really? Tell me. Who will it be? Then I can offer him my condolences. You should have listened to Chicago-san's words. Better. He's right on all accounts. You can't be a simple jonin for the rest of your life. Your standing within this village will rise and on the long view there is only one position you can take. I'm placing my money on you, she responded, without a hint of doubt in her voice. Naruto felt slightly uncomfortable to be conflicted with this dreaded topic for the second time this evening. But for the meantime, he would just play along with her. Maybe you're right. As Hokage, I will need a strong female presence at my side, and who could be better than an Uchiha? They are simply unreachable when it comes to beauty and elegance. Furthermore, I need a wife who is conscious about her standing. The blonde shinobi agreed with her, hearing his words brought a big smile on the girl's face. I knew you would understand me, but there is one problem, he sighed. What is it? She asked, confused. I can't marry a woman whose name I don't know, he said while shaking his head in defeat. Kiss me and maybe I will tell you, the girl teased. Naruto grabbed her hips and pulled her in a deep embrace. His swift change of heart surprised her greatly. But nevertheless she was happy that her plans would work out without much hindrance. I think we should increase the pace in our relationship, my dear fiancé, he whispered into her right ear, making her shudder in excitement. Does he want to announce our engagement? I didn't imagine that this would work so greatly. Her mind was occupied by the change of variables in her master. Furthermore, her thinking distracted her so much that she didn't notice his hands wandering down her back until her firm buttocks were squeezed by him. What are you doing? She asked, utterly shocked by his inappropriate actions. I'm merely confirming the quality of my future wife, Naruto responded, as if it would be the most normal thing in the world. With a single movement of his hand, he turned her around and continued his research on her hips. You have wide hips, he stated after a pondering silence. However, his words caused the girl to explode in fury. Baka, what's wrong with wide hips? Furthermore, my hips are not that wide. The girl ranted angrily, there is nothing wrong with your hips. I like wide hips. Would you like to know why? He asked with a naughty grin on his face. Why? She asked after some hesitation. She didn't really like how he had gained the upper hand in their conversation. You know what they say about women with wide hips. They're more fertile than other women. I would only choose a woman with childbearing hips like yours to be my wife. Children. she asked fearfully. What is he talking about? He can't possibly mean. Yes, unnamed Uchiha-chan. Your beauty and elegance are breathtaking. But for me, it's more important to have a fertile wife to secure my own line. I will take you and impregnate you right here, he said with every ounce of seriousness he could muster. What? Here? Now? I'm not ready, she spoke. Her trembling voice was a clear indicator for her growing uneasiness. Unconsciously, she stepped away from him to escape the situation. How could this conversation take such an unexpected turn? What went wrong? My plan was bulletproof. Naruto pushed the girl against a wooden pillar, which was placed approximately every 13 feet to sustain the weight of the Bruce construction. His hands rested on the pillar's side to block the escape route of the arrogant girl. Now he would scare her to death. I hope you're not a screamer. He spoke with a red grin plastered on his face. She watched in absolute horror as he reduced the distance between their heads. She could practically feel his breath on her lips. That's it. I will be taken like a commoner in our mansion's backyard. She closed her eyes and forced herself to remain calm. Despite her inner turmoil. I'm a woman of the Uchiha clan. I have to endure it. My plan comes first. She waited and waited but nothing happened. Seconds turned to minutes and minutes felt like hours. As she opened her eyes, she could see him standing a couple feet away. With his arms folded. Why? She was confused. Why had he stopped? You are quite the arrogant one. Thinking that you would be sufficient to my liking. What? You said to yourself that I was beautiful. She shouted as her confusion turned into anger. Naruto shook his head. This girl was clearly narrow-minded. You're beautiful. I won't deny it. As a matter of fact, you are resembling two very beautiful women I know. And where is the problem? I don't know whether you can't or whether you don't want to understand it. I don't like your point of view. Thinking that you stand above everyone. The Hokage protects everyone. Konoha is a big family and, in a particular view, the Hokage is everyone's father. I'm sure even someone bigoted as you noticed the charity work of my Kaisen. If the Hokage is the father who protects, then the Hokage's wife will be the mother who takes care. Do you really think that you will be able to fill such an important position? Naruto explained, painting the picture vividly in her mind. The girl started to fume. How can he dare to reprimand me? She was about to lash out at him verbally as a familiar voice interrupted her. Kimiko-chan. Are you here? Mikoto Bison. She stated, surprised. Oh dear. Here you are. And you've found Naruto clan. Let us return. We want to commence with the dancing. Mikoto spoke in her usual happy tone and smiled at the young adults. She grabbed Naruto's and Kimiko's hand and pulled them back to the main hall. Kimiko, I see. Even your name is a symbol of arrogance. My dear Empress, Naruto teased her, earning him the deadly glare of the now identified Kimiko. I wonder if you don't remember her, Naruto clan. You've played with her in your childhood together with Sasuke-chan. Those were good times, Mikoto reminisced. Really? We played together? Naruto asked, surprised. He looked at Kimiko, who was ready to strangle her aunts. Blabbermouth. Who? Kimiko. Kimi-chan. Now I remember. You followed us with your little doll. And then from day to day you kind of disappeared. What happened? He asked with honest curiosity. After all, she was a companion in his childhood. When only for a short time, Kimiko broke free of her aunt's grip and pointed her finger at him in an accusing manner. You killed Miki-chan. Sasuke burned her and you drowned her. I hate you, Naruto was appalled. This manipulative girl accused him of a horrible crime. He never drowned anyone. Especially not in his childhood. She sat down and clutched her knees while, from time to time, a lonely tear ran down her face. Oh dear. They hadn't done it on purpose. Mikoto bent down next to the crying girl and rubbed her back as an effort to console her. You wouldn't know it. Obison. They're monsters. They killed her directly in front of me. Kimiko sobbed. Naruto tried to remember. If he really participated in the killing of Miki, then he would take the proper responsibility. Flashback. Sasuke. You should stop now. You're making your cousin cry. A very young Naruto shouted. Shut up. You wouldn't understand what it means to be an Uchiha. I must be able to breathe fire. Otherwise, I can't catch up to Nison and Igor. Sasuke shouted back. He had stolen his cousin's little doll and placed it on a stump located at the backyard of his home. Please, Narukin, don't let him hurt Miki-chan. Young Kimiko pleaded with tearful eyes. Naruto petted the head of the smaller girl and reassured her. Don't worry, Kimi-chan. Sasuke is a big talker. He can't use fire jutsus. Kaiten. Gakaki no Jutsu. Fire release. Great fireball. Technique. Until now. Naruto stated speechlessly. As the big fireball flew towards the innocent doll. The hot ball of compressed fire exploded at the contact with the stump, incinerating everything within a radius of 6 feet. The following blast wave knocked the trio down. Kimiko saw with big eyes as the fire devoured her precious doll. Sasuke Baka. What the hell was that? Suiden, Hi Hachi. Water release. Whirlpool. A normal shinobi wouldn't even try to perform water-based jutsus in this area due to the lack of said element. He had to bring the water from an external source. But through genetic selection, some beneficial traits developed further whereas useless traits diminished. The Uzumaki clan was well known for their skillfulness with Fuinjutsu, sealing techniques, and water-based ninjutsu. Over generations they acquired the ability to fuse the oxygen and the hydrogen within the air to water. The user had to spend much chakra for that process, but it could give him an important tactical advantage, and so Naruto could perform the Suiden Jutsu his mother taught him a month ago. Small drops of water appeared at his palms. They grew bigger at an alarming speed, and soon they were hurled at the burning stump. The water disappeared in loud whooshing sounds, while clouds of hot steam rose in the sky. But the stream of water was endless, as long as the user's chakra reserves would hold. And Naruto had a lot of chakra due to his secret tenant. After 20 long seconds the fire was completely doused. Kimiko ran to the stump without thinking. Her precious doll was the only thing she was concerned about. Luckily the water absorbed most of the fire's heat and emitted it to the surrounding air. Little did she know that she would only find a scene of destruction. Her doll was completely disfigured as the head and 2 limbs were missing. Her following screech caused the adults inside the house to come out. Naruto was sure that his mother would praise him. After all, he did everything he could to try and save the doll. Eventually it turned out that the crying Kimiko accused both Sasuke and Naruto for the death of her toy. Obviously Naruto wasn't praised by his mother on this very day. Sasuke and Naruto were grounded for 1 month respectively. Flashback end. You lying bitch. I tried to save your doll and you backstabbed me. Naruto remembered an already long forgotten trauma. His beloved mother hadn't played with him for 1 long month as punishment for his actions. That was one of the most terrible times of his life. Kimiko blinked at the angry blonde. She stood up and put her kimono in the proper place. Well, maybe we should let bygones be bygones. What the hell? You accused me 1 minute before. Said blonde responded. Makoto would have liked to watch the argument between her niece and her best friend's son. But the schedule was rigid. Their annual party would always end with a traditional dance. Please stop it. We want to commence with the main event. It's one of the social activities we all enjoy. I don't think the male population was terribly looking forward to participating in your dancing activity. Makoto-san, Naruto's sweat dropped. The Uchiha matriarch tried her best to look up all, but in essence he was right. The dance was the event where Konoha's female population would show off. Makeup, clothes, behavior, even the dancing partner. Everything would be accounted for and the outcome would determine the gossip in the next weeks. One faux pas could harm your reputation in a bad deal. Naturally, the women would let the men feel that the event was important. Malicious rumors said that some women coerced her partners under the threat of sexual withdrawal. Don't say such horrible things. You will have fun too, maybe. Do you know what? You have the honor to be my dancing partner. Makoto said enthusiastically. What? Naruto and Kimiko shouted in unison. However, Makoto ignored the cry of outrage and pulled the young shinobi to the main hall. Abasan, you're so cheap, that was my plan. The younger female thought as she followed her thieving assent. Kushina-sama, please give me the honor of your first dance. I was your first, Kushina-sama will dance with me. You're acting like boys in their puberty. Naturally, I will dance with Kushina Haim. Kushina's sweat dropped at the scene in front of her. The last thing she could remember was trying to stop some from reviving an old and embarrassing story from her academy days. And the next moment a good dozen guys were asking to be her dancing partner. She politely declined every offer while she looked frantically for her son. Normally, nobody would dare to ask her because Minato and her would go together to such important social activities. However, in this special case, Minato was far away, inspecting Hai no Kunis military outposts, and like vultures, they detected her vulnerable state. I'm honored to receive so many offers, but I already have a dancing partner. Irideed said in order to discourage her many suitors. But Kushina-sama, they will commence in a few minutes. What will it look like when you don't dance at the beginning, one of her suitors said with a smug voice. Though, looking at his physical appearance, he couldn't be a member of. Ino has shinobi forces. He looks like a pig and I don't like the way he's leering at me. Kushina thought, slightly disgusted. But his words were true. She had to be present for the first dance. Her head fell in defeat as she saw the first couples filling the dancing floor. This evening is getting worse every minute. Now I have to choose one of those vultures. She sighed very quietly and was about to choose a guy. He was probably the one looking the least suspicious and lecherous, as an arm around her hip and pulled her into embrace. Kushina froze instantly after witnessing the bold action with her own body. Her suitors looked equally shocked. She could feel her cheeks heating up in anger. How could a stranger dare to touch her in such a manner? Arg. He got away. How could this happen? Makoto asked, distressed. You kind of deserve it, Abe-san. After all, you're the one who stole him from me in the first place. Himiko showed no sympathy for her aunt. Damn, and I was looking forward to dancing tonight. Yugaku will pay dearly for leaving me alone. I'm sorry guys, but this lady is already taken. Naruto grinned at the defeated-looking bunch of suitors. He had to admit, his mother was very popular. The male population simply adored her. After hearing his voice, Kushina relaxed. She was ready to give the bold guy a hefty beating for touching her in that way. You're late, she huffed. She wouldn't show him her gratitude. It would only go to his head. Really? You could have chosen one of your loyal suitors. He teased mercilessly, causing her to gulp. Well, better late than never, the Redeed mumbled, after which Naruto guided her to the dancing floor. After dancing non-stop for what felt like an eternity, the annual party of the Uchiha household ended as spectacular as it started. The Namikaze couple did a splendid performance on the dancing floor. Kushina was adored for her elegance and beauty. Naruto was praised that he had decided to take his proper role as heir of the Namikaze clan. Little did they know that the one and only reason for his participation was to tease his secret lover. Some people even made a comment that they wouldn't look like mother and son. The comment that made her slightly uncomfortable and made him grin. At home, finally, Kushina sighed contentedly and let herself drop at the soft mattress of her bed before she closed her eyes. Makoto-san didn't look very happy, Naruto stated while he watched her from the doorframe. That's obvious, Yugaku, that it abandoned her at such a crucial time. I would kill Minato. If he dared to pull a stunt like that, Kushina responded. She took a deep breath and opened her eyes. Naruto was standing at the edge of the bed and offered her his hand. She gave him a quizzical look. Don't you think that I deserve a little reward? The blonde asked. She already knew what would happen when she took his hand. But somehow she didn't care about the consequences. After all, they were lovers. Right now according to their secret agreement, and she would be damned if she wouldn't take full advantage of the situation. She propped on her left elbow and placed her right hand in his. Naruto pulled her into a tight embrace, caressing her back with one hand. Whereas the other one groped her butt. You're wasting not a second, Kushina stated the obvious. You're looking so damn hot with your powdered face and those ruby lips. Naruto feasted on her godlike appearance. He brushed her cheek with his own and whispered in her ear, I can guarantee you that at least 90% of the guys who were at that party are dreaming. But I will be the only one who will kiss you, taste you, feel you and ultimately. He paused for one indefinitely long second, you till you become unconsciousness from experiencing orgasm after orgasm. Needless to say, Kushina would gladly give him his reward.